Good morning, everyone. Thanks for calling in. This is Tim at OHSAA. We'll get started here in just about 1 minute. All right, good morning, everyone. Thanks for calling in for our boys basketball state finals media and coaches teleconference. Just a few reminders to everyone. Please try to keep your background noise as low as possible and mute your line if you can. And also for those reaching out for, or those looking for stats and rosters and information, you can reach out to myself and Scott Rex here at the OHSAA. We are in for about a 2.5 hour teleconference here, and we're going to start with Division 7. The home team in the Division 7 game is Cornerstone Christian, and that's head coach Babe Kwasniak. Coach, are you on with us?
I am, Tim. I'm here.
Great. Thanks, Coach. Before we get to questions, Babe, if you could take a couple minutes and tell us about your team this season and your tournament run, and then we'll start off with Marty on questions. But Babe, go ahead.
I'll do a little better than that, Mr. Street. This is, as you know, this means so much to my family. My dad raised me going to the Ohio high school basketball tournament, and ever since I was 7 years old, I can remember going and watching Jimmy Jackson play, and Dustin Ford, and Bobby Patton, and Greg Simpson. The list goes on and on. And then just to it kind of came full circle when in 2013 I was able to bring my team, Bill Angelo St. Joseph, back to the Final Four. And my sons, I have three boys, and they all sat in the stands. But the next year, when we were fortunate enough to come back, a game which we played Lima Central Catholic for 3 years in a row, I vividly recall not having credentials for the. Let me step back, Tim. In 2013, I had a bunch of reporters that weren't credentialed asking my kids for where they were going to college, and this is when they were, I think, Carlton Bragg and Brian Parker, Derek Pardon, they were sophomores in high school. And I remember it's 5 minutes before the game, and I'm like, what is going on here? What is happening? And I remember I went and I didn't know who you were, but you took care of it. And fast forward a year later. My boys, specifically my middle son Quinn, he wanted so much to get on the floor and shoot a basketball, and his papa, who he lost this October, he turned to Jerry Snodgrass. He's like, Jerry, is there anything you do before you can even do anything? The guy that's running this conference call handed my boys 2 ribbons, and that was the first 3-pointer my son Turtle ever made, and now he's made 566 of them. So. I'll start by that. I mean, God does everything for a reason, and if you'd have told me I'd be here in 2025 after that happened, over 10 years ago, I would tell you you're nuts. So, thanks for having us.
Yeah, well, Babe, I remember those moments very well. Back at the shot, seems like it was yesterday. Well, before we get to questions, though,
sure
Babe,
does, doesn't it?
It does. Well, tell us just a little bit about your tournament run, and then we'll go to questions.
What's that? I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
Yeah, before we get to questions, just tell us a minute about this year's team and your tournament run, and then we'll go to questions.
I mean, we're probably a lot like Jesus' apostles. We got a lot of misfits, I guess, that what other people would think. I mean, one of our better players is a soccer player. One of them is going to be a professional wrestler. One kid was cut by his grade school team. I joke with Kurt Stubbs that we remind us a lot of Hoosiers, and it's just a good thing that we happen to have Jimmy Chitwood. Kids play the game the right way. It's definitely not the most talented group I've ever had, but we play the game the right way, and I think people see all the numbers that Turtle has, and they don't really understand how we have other guys not just accepting the role, but excelling in it.
All right. Thanks, Coach. Well, we can go to questions now. I'm not sure if our two play-by-play broadcasters are on. Todd Bell from Spectrum and Todd Walker from OHSAA Radio. If either one of them is on, please go ahead. But if not, then we can open it up to others. But and I think Jen Beck is on from OHSAA Radio. Jen, let's start with you, and then let's see if Todd is on.
Yeah, hi, Tim. I'm here. Coach, thanks so much for being with us this morning. Thanks for sharing that information so far. Let's just start out. You know, you've had a great season. Your son is doing phenomenal. You're about to face the #1 team in the state who is undefeated. So just give us your thoughts as you prepare now to face Russia.
I'll say this, Jen. I know, Coach. I think Spencer's listening. Like they are everything that's right about high school basketball. You know, our game's not in a good place. I mean, when I say our game, I'm not just talking about high school. You know, college with the portal and with the NIL, and I dealt with that a lot with Turtle this summer. Is just watching kids on the EYBL circuit getting paid millions and millions of dollars before they ever made a basket. With all that being said, you look at those kids. I think someone told me they've been playing together for 11 years. And I mean, again, they're everything that's right about the game of high school basketball. They play the game the right way. They're so well coached. I mean, the only negative thing I can say about them is that they're great. We don't know what our chances are. I don't know. We definitely wouldn't have beaten them in a 7-game series. You know, it's not that we're just happy to be here, but I just couldn't have more respect. That's really hard to do, especially when they have all the expectations like they have, and to perform the way they have. And we wouldn't want it any other way. You know, we're going to get a chance to play the best, and no matter what, there's going to be a worthy champion for sure.
Well, let me quickly follow up because I feel like I just gave you a bullet right from the start because we have seen Russia have a great season. But you have, let's talk about your son because you have a phenomenal player, the top point getter in ever. How has that felt to see that happen this season?
I'd be lying to you if I told you it wasn't on our mind. It doesn't mean anything to him, Jen. He could care less. He's, like I said, I compare him to Jimmy Chipwood. Like at one point in his life, I mean, I was talking about 2013 when I had him down there with Tim. He didn't even go to the game. He wanted to be John Cena and he wanted to wrestle. And what's so funny is one of my assistants babysat him in the hotel room when he was doing that. It wasn't until I would even say when he got on the floor there at the shot, that's kind of when he fell in love with the game. But those records, they didn't mean anything to him until his grandfather died, just because his grandfather said those are not subjective, those are objective numbers. And you look at the names: Jay Burson, Lucas, Bobby Huggins, who was a great friend of my dad's, LeBron, Ramon James, Luke Kennard, Jay Burson. I mean, people like these kids have no idea how good Jay Burson was. So. I mean, it is. I hate to say it is what it is, but here's a kid who did not get one single vote to be Mr. Basketball. He has, 80 more threes than the next guy, and is now the all-time leading scorer. And so, I think that's why it was so important to my dad, just because that is forever gonna. It's not only a notch for him, but his teammates. It's going to say Cornerstone Christian Academy. And this is the ultimate team game. We try to individualize a team game all the time, which is why Rucci's so great, because they understand that. And this will be his 109th game, and nobody does something like this alone. It's no matter what anyone thinks, it's a team award.
Thanks, Coach, and thanks, Jen. Let's go to George Howard.
Coach, how are you doing? Congratulations
George,
on your successful. Good. Congratulations on your successful season and all the accomplishments that your son has received. Are you expecting? I know Rushi brings a great, crazy crowd to Dayton. Are you guys expecting a great crowd to follow you guys down here? And what does that do for a small program like yourself?
Well, I mean, I don't know if you've seen the movie Rocky 4, but I mean, we figured that's what it's going to be like, right? We could just, I know, just by namesake, we can just go to Russia, and especially since our nickname's the Patriots, we might as well play this, on Christmas in Russia. I mean, that's what's now. I think, especially my son, having grown up watching St. Joe games and going to all the state championship games, and he was on the bench when we played Oak Hill on national TV. We fully expect, we know they got a great following. I saw that at Bowling Green. So, just like our team, we won't have the most robust in terms of numbers, but we'll have the right ones there, and the ones that are, just love our program. And that's definitely going to be the advantage for them, and as it should be. I mean, I hope it sells out. We're right before the Division I game, and I think you got a great story. You got, in my opinion, we're not only the best team in Division VII, but one of the best teams in the state of Ohio at any division. You have a guy that's the all-time leading scorer, and that should make for great TV.
We can keep Coach for another minute here. If anyone else has a question, please jump in.
Coach, tell us
Coach
what we can. This is Coach Howard, George Howard again. Tell us, what can we look for and what can we expect to see from your team?
We're not going to do anything differently, right? We're going to play through number 11 a lot like, a lot of people compare him to Steph, but it's a lot like, I think it's a lot more like Caitlin Clark. I mean, he averages 8 assists, so we're going to kind of put the ball in his hands, and we're going to play as hard as we can, try to play together, and I'm going to try not to screw it up. That's our game plan. It's worked a couple times for me, so.
Coach Kwasniak, real quick, Ryan Kavanaugh from Spectrum Sports, excited to watch your team play on Saturday night. You
Hi,
started
Sam.
off, I mentioned, how you doing, buddy?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing tremendous, man. It's a great weekend coming up. You mentioned some of those complementary pieces, and I really want to know, I would love to know who the soccer player is, but who is the future professional wrestler on your team?
His name is Carter Sims, okay? So we call him the Brahma Bull after The Rock. He doesn't try to foul people, but his freshman year, he fouled out in a minute 43 of a JV game. And our pastor Kyle Reynolds, is a good friend of mine. He just said, I couldn't stop watching this kid. He was like a bull in a china shop. And ever since, he's been kind of, he just plays really hard, and he's really aggressive, and he is the greatest kid in the world, has more charisma than any kid you ever met. Carter Sims is his name, and just one of those. The student council president, just an amazing kid. Our soccer player is Colson Keeper. I think he had the most goals in the state as a freshman last year, if I'm recalling that right. And the other kid I was talking about is Hudson Funk, who has been just absolutely incredible. Yeah, he stays after every day, shoots with Quinn, and I think he's just learned to develop his work habits. Our other two starters are Asaya West, kid from East Cleveland, just my type of kid, just tough kid, and then Darian Davis, who is a junior, 6'5", really good athlete. I absolutely love my team, and you do this long enough, you learn that how good they are has really nothing to do. It's what do you get out of, and we're pretty much maxing out our talent level, right? I've coached teams before in the past at Joe's where it's like, man, I just felt so much pressure. It's like all I can do is screw this up, That's not. We're playing with house money at this point with this team, and it's been just been an absolute blessing. I give all the glory to God. How blessed am I? I mean, you guys know. I know we don't have a time, but I'm a suicide survivor, PTSD survivor. Proud that I'm in the Veterans Hall of Fame, and how blessed am I that I get to do this, that I get to be a part of this Saturday night. I'm gonna be like everybody else in the stands, and I'm just gonna enjoy every second of it.
All right, Coach. Thank you so much for all your time and those comments with us. Really appreciate you opening up and spending some time with us in the media. Good luck in the state championship game.
Thank you, Sam. Appreciate you.
All right, appreciate you.
Thank you, everybody.
All right, the visiting team in the Division 7 title game is Rushi and head coach Spencer Cordonier. Spencer, are you on with us?
Yes.
All right, thanks for calling in. Coach, before we go to questions, if we can have you take a minute and tell us about your team and your tournament run, and then we'll go to questions.
Yeah, so obviously, as everyone knows, we have a senior-laden team with 11 seniors. And, 4 or 5 of them, this is their second time around. A couple of them, or 3 of them, this is their third time around. So these guys are well conditioned to compete at this level. They've done it here in basketball 3 times. They've done it on the baseball field a couple times in their high school careers. So, they're kind of like, we've got a couple of them that are on the floor at all times that are an extension of the coaching staff. They really, really know how to play the game of basketball. They've been, these guys, I think in 3rd grade when we started practice with them, we started with 18 or 19, and 11 of them have stuck it out. This year, as much fun as it's been a little difficult too with these guys because, I do have a son on the team, but the other 10 are like second sons to me because I've been around them for so long. They've done a very good job of handling, every situation this year. They set some goals for themselves early on, and I thought they were lofty goals at first, but attainable goals. And we just kind of expressed to them early on, like, this isn't going to be easy. These goals that you have set for yourself, they're very, very high, and it's not going to be easy, but they're attainable. And I think they've done a very nice job of staying the course and staying humble, and they really play the game the right way. We don't ever have to get on these guys to compete. I've said all along, these kids are winners, and they know how to win the right way. It's hard work and dedication, and that's what these guys are about. As far as the tournament run, we ended the season on a very, very high note. We beat a very good Marion local team the last game of the season on senior night. It's kind of the perfect storm. Marion local and us, the coaching staffs are pretty good friends, and it was, like I said, a senior night, and we were able to play very, very well that night. And then, we got the number 1 seed tournament draw where, the competition early on wasn't, Marion local or Bodkins or Jackson Center or something like that. But, these guys just stayed the course and beat a very, very good Bodkins team in the semifinals or the finals, the regional finals. And then Arlington was a dogfight from the start. And, these guys, like I said, they're just winners, and they know how to play the game the right way.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate all that. Let's go to questions. Let's start with Todd Walker for a couple, and then we'll go to Jen Beck.
Coach, congratulations on another run. Obviously, you don't play a lot of guys, but they're all seniors. I wonder, have you thought about managing their workload during the season, knowing that you'd go on a deep tournament run? Has that ever been a thought for you, or do you just kind of play it by ear? Tell me how you've done that throughout the season.
Thanks for the kind words there in the beginning. Early on and throughout most of the season, we did play 8 guys, 7 mostly. We would venture to that 8th guy, probably 3/4 of the time. But if you set these goals, if you set the goals as high as they set them, I think all 11 of them accepted their roles on the team. And we talked to them in the beginning of the season, like, I understand that there's 11 of you, and you guys have to understand that we can't play 11 on a nightly basis if you want to reach these goals. And everybody jumped on board. And the deeper you get in the tournament, the better the teams that you're going to play. And, I don't think these guys would have it any other way. We condition every single day in practice for these types of games. And every one of them, 1 through 15 that's on our roster are as in shape as anybody that we're going to play. So, we're going to roll with what we've got, the 6th, and if we got to go to the 7th, we'll go to the 7th, but we probably won't go any deeper than that.
Coach Ryan Kavanaugh from Spectrum. I'll jump in. I thought there was an order, Tim, but I've been known to cut the line at times. Your team has been outstanding all year on defense. What do you and your team do to make that a primary focus? And to the extent of the different teams you've seen, what challenges offensively is Cornerstone going to present to you?
With the zone that we've seen them play so far in all the film we've watched, they're very, very active. The Funk kid is very, very active, and they got the 6'6" kid in the middle in the post down low, and they pose a different challenge because you got to figure out what they're in. It's either 1-2-2, 3/4 court, 1-2-2 half court, 2-3 half court. They're trapping with their top 2 guys. So we've got to pay attention and figure out what they're in, and then just to get organized from there. And like I said, with the guys that are on the floor, they've seen this stuff. They've been through these wars, and we kind of leave it on the point guard and a couple of our senior leaders to figure out what's going on and get us going and get us into what we need to be running.
Coach, while I have you, what do you have planned for them with your team playing defense and their ability to score points?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, they pose a big problem with Quinn and all the different things that he can do with the basketball. I mean, he's very, very quick, gets his shot off quick. He's very, very crafty. He's new age, but yet he's kind of got some old man game to where he has seen everything. So we're not going to surprise them with anything that we do defensively. I don't think it's any secret that if you've watched us play throughout the year or throughout the last 3 years, we're going to play man-to-man defense, and we're going to figure out a way to. You're not going to stop a kid like Quinn Crosby. You're just not going to do it. I mean, he scored 3,300 points in high school for a reason. So, I mean, it's not necessarily trying to stop him. It's just trying to keep him in check. But I really believe off the basketball, you really can't get caught watching what number 11's doing. You've got to pay attention to these other guys so the Funk kid can really shoot it. And another thing about Quinn's game is he's an excellent passer. So he's going to find open guys. And like I said, he's been doing this a long time, and we got our work cut out for us.
And we can go back to Todd or Jen if you have a follow-up.
Yeah, Coach, I was just going to ask you, how do you picture defending Quinn? To expand on that point, do you feel like you can take maybe more than one guy to match up with him throughout the game? In other words, now it's your turn, now it's your turn? Is that how you have to go about it, maybe?
I mean, you've got to have everything in place. You've got to have the kitchen sink ready. I mean, if this doesn't work, we got to move to something else. And I mean, that's one of the things we've talked about. But essentially, the game will dictate, and seeing how the game's going will dictate what we try to do throughout the game. I mean, we've got a couple guys that can really guard. And, the one thing about us is it's not necessarily the one kid that can guard or the second kid that can guard. I really feel like as a team, we play really good team defense, and they understand it. When these guys started back in third grade, we taught them shell defense. As silly as that sounds, as a 9-year-old kid, well, that's what we taught them first. And we do some of that stuff every single day in practice still to this day, 8, 9, 10, 11 years later. Now, are they tired of it? Yeah, I'm sure they're tired of it, but it's all muscle memory, and they understand it very, very well. So, it's going to be challenging to navigate all that, but the game will essentially dictate what we do and what we change.
All right. Spencer, that will do it for our time here with you and the media. I really appreciate you calling in. Thanks for your time, and good luck in the state championship game.
Yep. Thanks for having me on. We'll see you Saturday.
All right. Well, that will wrap it up for Division 7, and we are now going to move on to Division 6. Just a reminder to everyone on the call that if you're looking for stats or rosters, team information, please reach out to me here at the OHSAA. Also, we are recording the teleconference, and we'll have a written transcript as well. So please reach out if you want either of those. In Division 6, the home team is Woodsfield Monroe Central, and that's head coach Mason Lang. Coach, are you on with us?
Yeah, I'm on it.
Great. Thank you for calling in. Appreciate your time. Before we get to questions, if you could take a minute and tell us about your team, and then we'll start with David Wilson on questions. But Coach, go ahead.
All right. Yeah, we have, we're pretty senior heavy. We have 6 seniors. 5 of them see playing time. 2 of them, one of them is our all-time leading scorer in school history. The other one is our second all-time leading scorer in school history. And then we play 1 junior and 2 sophomores. We play in the OVAC conference. We finished second there behind Wheeling Central, who I'm looking to probably win state in West Virginia. If not, maybe be runner-up to Williamstown. Won our league, but yeah, we're just we try to play a fast tempo and basically man-to-man defense the whole time.
All right, thanks, Coach. We'll start with questions. David, go ahead.
Hey, Coach, I was wondering if you could start out by maybe just commenting on your semifinal win against Kirtland. It was a close game. Kirtland had a great year as well as you guys, and I just wondered what were some of your post-game thoughts on what you guys did well?
Yeah, I thought we guarded their 2 players extremely well. They have 2 good scorers. Number 11, I think number 21 was the other good scorer that and I thought we really focused in. We kind of held 11 in check the whole game. Chance Allen guarded him and did really well there. 21 got loose on us in the third quarter when our other good defender had foul trouble, but Cooper Howe switched to him in the fourth and kind of shut him down and let us get control. I think some things we got to work on. We got to limit turnovers in crunch time situations and make foul shots.
Coach, my follow-up would just be, maybe some comments on Tucker and how he has developed, over his career and what it's been like to coach him. And then just around him, maybe your thoughts on how this team has developed as a group this year.
Yeah, Tucker's a special player in our area. He's been great all year. When I first got here a couple of years ago, I coached him in junior high. And he couldn't shoot very well. He was a really good player around the basket. We worked on his shot, and then he came in his freshman and sophomore years. And he turned into a really good player, was able to shoot both those years. I got here to be the head coach last year before his junior season. We worked a little bit on his ability to penetrate and finish around the rim. And I mean, on this year, he's shooting, 66% around the rim from two. So he's really developed in that area. And he's a great passer, which has really made our team, click. We've surrounded him with some good shooters, Caden Silva, Cooper Howe, Jacob Fogel gets in there. He can shoot. Corbin Farnsworth has shot pretty well this year. And then Chance Allen, his ability to score off of Tucker, their ability to play off of each other with their quickness, their ability to pass to each other. And both of them finished so well around the rim that it's just been a great year for us offensively.
Coach, this is George Howard. How you doing?
Pretty good. How are you?
I'm good. When did you realize that you had a special group of kids as far as the season? You know how you start the season, you talk to them and say, this is our goal, is to reach Dayton. When did you realize that, hey, I really got something special here? At what point in the season did you realize that?
I think I realized that actually, I would say last spring, when I saw, we lost in the district championship game to Highland last year. They made a heck of a run all the way to the state championship in their own right in Division IV. And then just the hunger out of the players to show up in the weight room. We started weightlifting a week later, and 6 players are in there. When we were able to, we started doing shoot around, all 6 are still there shooting. Kids playing baseball obviously couldn't be there. They were playing baseball, but these guys worked all spring and summer. And then when we went to shootouts and we played some talented teams over the summer in shootouts, we actually played Massillon Perry at Marietta College. We played, Westerville Central one time, and we actually played Colonel Crawford up at Mount Vernon. And we were able to hang with those teams, beat a couple of them. And I think we realized at that time, we could do something special as long as we kept our work ethic where it needed to be.
Coach Lang, David Marshall.
Go ahead, David.
Coach Lang, David Marshall. Congratulations on getting state finals.
Thank you.
Just had a question. Yeah, just had a question. You've been pursuing to be a head coach, and who has been your mentor in this pursuit? And I know you also work with your wife, under your wife. And what have you learned in these two processes?
Yeah, I was a junior high coach under Coach Dan Lidke and Eric Henniger down at Fort Fry, and I learned a lot from them. I played for Coach Lidke at Fort Fry. He did some great things with the boys, and he's done some really good things with the girls the last few years. And I think our defense, our discipline, the things that he taught us as players, I think that's really carried over into how we kind of play and how I coach. And then, working with my wife later on, she showed some offensive game plan stuff that I really liked. And, it's just been a fun journey for me, learning from all these coaches.
Thank you, Coach.
Coach, what is it that you see in the team that you're playing? What is it that you have to prepare for? And what, if any, what may concern you at all about the team that you're going to face this weekend?
Yeah, their length can be a little concerning. We don't see that kind of size all the time. We've seen 1 or 2 players around 6'7", but we don't see players at 6'8" with that kind of skill set. Number 23, I think his knee camp has. He concerns me. His ability to pass the ball is amazing. And then he's got players around him that can just knock down shots. The way 24 and 32 can cut when he has the ball in the post, that makes it dangerous. Can you send a double? Can you not send a double? Because he's going to find them. This team, they're disciplined. You can tell they're really well coached. They run their offense. They're patient. They've got the ability to score inside and out. We're going to have our hands full.
Coach Lang, David Marshall. What is your team mantra? What do you guys? Is there a quote or philosophy that you emphasize every day that transfers over to the court?
We we talk a little bit about that stuff, and I guess the one thing that we say is that, quotes don't get you too far. They're just words, I guess. But, one thing that we say a lot, and one mantra I would say that I repeat over and over again, is just one long contested shot. And that's just how we try to play the game. We want to make other teams shoot one long contested shot, and we want to get out and run. Another thing we always talk about is they get nothing. So we want to make sure they get nothing out of any kind of possession. They have to work for everything they get. And, we just, I wouldn't say we have one or two really overarching things, but overall for us, it's just kind of a mindset of, we want to attack. We want to make sure they get nothing out of their possessions. And that's just how we have to play the game.
All right, Mason, that will do it for our time with you on the teleconference. Really appreciate you calling in. Good luck in the Division 6 state championship game.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate you guys having me.
Yep. And the visiting team in the
Coach.
D6 game is Marion Local and head coach Kurt Guttemiller. Coach, are you on with us?
Yep, I'm on with you.
All right. Thank you for calling in. Appreciate your time. Before we go to questions, Kurt, if you can take a few minutes and tell us about this year's team and your run to the state championship game.
Yeah, we've had a great year, obviously. Typically, we get off to a little bit of a slow start. This is my 14th year at Marion, and in all 14 years, we've made the state championship game in football, except for the COVID year. So we always typically get off to a slower start. We started with 11 games in 23 days after about 5 or 6 practices. But our kids just did a great job transitioning into the season. Our top 2 scorers didn't play football, so that helped us a little bit. But we were able to start out 11-0. We lost up at Delphus, which cost us the league championship. Delphus St. John's won the league title this year at 9-0. And then we had a tough February. We were able to knock off Coldwater and Spencerville in a weekend there. Then we played Russia at the end of the regular season, and they beat us pretty good. So we lost to 2 really good basketball teams in the regular season. And then our tournament run has been relatively difficult. It's really just difficult getting through our Walpock district every year. And with the teams like Coldwater and Spencerville that we had to get through, that was a tough district. But overall, we've had a heck of a year. We've set a school record for the number of wins in a year. So it's been great so far.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate that. We'll go to questions start with David.
Hey, Coach, I was wondering if you could please go back to the win against Colonel Crawford in the state semifinal, 14-point victory against a team that had been very hot since back in November, and just wondered what went right and what you and your coaches thought and how you graded out your team for that game.
Yeah, I thought going into the game, I liked the matchup. I thought both teams matched up with each other pretty well. It was pretty obvious who should be guarding who and things of that nature. The big kid inside, DeGray, was more than we expected. He was a heck of a player, no question. Big and strong. But overall, I thought we did a good job on the perimeter guard number 20. We got a sophomore that has some length, and he was able to guard him pretty well. We just hang our hat in this program on defense. We really focus on fundamentals defensively and making sure we're sound in that area. And then we found enough offense. Ryan Holman got us going early in that game with an and one and a couple of 3-point baskets. But we've got plenty of guys that can put it in the hole as well. And so, we were able to, again, defend pretty well and get out to a lead. And that was a pretty big, important key.
Coach, my follow-up would just be maybe some thoughts on Austin and how he has developed. And obviously with his size and skill, he can really impact the game and does for you. But how has he developed over the years, and what has it been like to coach him?
Austin's a dream to coach. He's a 3-year starter, and he played some as a freshman as well. He's the valedictorian of the class, so he's incredibly smart. but he's just a hard worker. I don't know that there's been any other kid I've had in my 14 years that has come in more times at 6 a.m. to get work done, whether that be post work or shooting the basketball, and just working on his game overall. And he's obviously a very good defender for us as well. He takes away a lot of shots at the rim. So he's super important to what we're doing. And he deserves to be in the spot. I know I can tell you also, his dad has taken him to the state championship game the last 4 to 6 years, to all the state finals. So, I think it's a thrill for him to get the opportunity to play in one of these his senior year.
Thanks, Coach and David. Let's go to George.
Coach, tell us what you know about the team that you're about to face.
Sure. Yeah, we've got a few films on them. They're just an excellent basketball team, super athletic. The first thing that worries you is their transition game. They get a ton of points in transition, so we're going to have to try to limit that as best we can. They got 2 excellent senior players in number 22, Hal, and number 5, Allen. Those kids can fill it up. Super athletic. So, we're going to have a tough time matching with those kids. But they got shooters around those 2 kids. Obviously, Silva can really shoot at number 14. And the younger brother, number 0, 00, he can play. Their starting 5 is solid. Then they bring a couple kids off the bench that are very good as well. And then, the other thing is defensively, they're a very good basketball team just because they are so athletic. And they can challenge passing lanes and challenge shots at the rim. So, we're obviously going to have our hands full come Saturday.
David Marshall, are you on with us?
Yes, I am.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. Hey, Coach. What got you into wanting to be a head coach in high school basketball?
When I was in high school, I was not a star player at all. I think I scored 6 points in my high school career. And at that time, I just got into scouting with Coach Jack Albers. And I just really, enjoyed the X and O's side of the game. And then, ever since high school, I've wanted to be a teacher and a coach. I'm a sports nut. I love all kinds of sports, football, basketball, baseball. And so, I just wanted to get into coaching, and I basketball for me was the avenue to do that. And I spent 13 years under Mike Lee at Minster, and I still teach at Minster. But I got a job at my alma mater 14 years ago as the head basketball coach, and it's been a dream of a lifetime for me to take my alma mater now to the second state championship game.
Coach, Minster used to be a powerhouse. I remember those days with Minster basketball. How have you kept your kids? I know they're excited about coming down. How have you kept them a little level-headed, and how are the kids feeling and the community? I know there's a lot of excitement around there. So how's it going down there right now with all the excitement of coming to Dayton for the state championship game?
Well, we've made a point, we're only an hour away from Dayton. We've made a point to make it special for our kids like we did in 18. In 18, we stayed in a hotel for a couple days, and we want to make it special. We wouldn't have to do that this year, but we're going to stay down in the hotel Friday and go to a game Friday and eat out and have a walkthrough Saturday morning at a local high school gym, and just all those little things that make a state championship game special. I think our kids have earned that this year. And our community, I think by the end of the week, they're going to get super excited. We've just had a lot of success in sports, and I certainly don't want to sound like I'm bragging, but our football team obviously is at state year after year, but our track team has won state the last couple of years. So, we've been just super fortunate to have that kind of success. So our kids, have been involved in a lot of those sports as well. And we, our kids know what they're getting into. So I don't think the moment's going to be too big for our kids come Saturday.
Hey, Coach G, I had a question. what is your team philosophy? What is your mantra? Is your quote that you guys have this year that's carried you through this journey?
We talk about our core values. We compete, communicate really well, outwork other teams, play with pride, and play with unity. So we talk about that quite a bit. But, the honest truth is our team just hangs its hat on playing great defense. I have excellent assistant coaches. I probably have some of the best assistant coaches in the state that are able to pick up on the tendencies of the other team. And we really, really guard like crazy. And that's kind of what we hang our hat on. Offensively, we just try to figure it out. We're game to game, year to year, we're a little bit different on offense. But defensively, we just play really good half-court man defense, and we just try to hang our hat on that.
All right, Kurt, that'll do it for our time with you. Really appreciate you calling in and for your help during the postseason, and good luck in the state championship game.
All right, Tim. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Coach.
Good
All
luck,
right, that'll
Coach.
do it. That'll do it for Division 6, and we're going to move on to Division 5. And just a reminder to everyone now calling in for Division 5, we are recording the teleconference, both audio and written transcript, and please reach out if you are looking for information on the teams. The home team in the Division 5 title game is Lutheran East, and that's head coach Sam Liggins. Sam, are you on with us?
Yes, I am.
Great. Thank you for calling in. Before we go to questions, and I'm going to try to find that background noise. I'll look for that. Sam, if we can have you take a minute first and tell us about this year's team and your tournament run, and then we'll go to questions.
Yeah. So first, I want to say it's a blessing to be here. This is our school 8th consecutive state Final Four. This year, our journey has been up and down. We don't have one single senior on the roster. I think we have 2 juniors, and the rest of our team is freshmen and sophomores. We've played an extremely tough schedule. And just for us to be able to finish the regular season 18-4 shows the character of our boys and our team and the culture we have at Lutheran East. And I'm just extremely happy that we got another chance to play for a state championship.
All right, thanks, Coach. Let's go to questions, and let's start with Marty Bannister. Marty, are you on with us? Marty might be on mute. We can open up to others, and we'll check back with Marty.
Hey, Sam, this is George Howard. How you doing, man?
What's going on, George?
Hey, listen, question for you. How do you guys do it year in and year out? What has been the key to your success at Lutheran East, and how you run a really great program, you win year in and year out?
Yeah.
What has been the key to your success?
Well, first we talk about character. Character is a big piece of what we preach to these kids every single day. We tell our kids they have to be servants first. You've got to serve someone else, and just instill in them the right core values and teach them that hard work trumps everything. And these kids come to Lutheran East and they come to work every single day, and they understand the history, the legacy, and the standard that we've set, and that they buy into it. And I think a lot of it is because we just consistently preach about their character and being a good person and playing the game for the right reason and playing for other people. And I think that's what has made us super successful.
All right, let's go to Marty, and then we'll go back to George.
All right, hey, Coach. First of all, congratulations making it this far. Just go through your starters, your first 5 on the floor, if you would. Just a quick comment about each one. What stands out about them? What do you like about them?
So our point guard is Ty Harrison, a sophomore, 5'11", very quick with the ball, great ball handler. He can stretch the floor too and make open shots. Dylan Ziegler is a freshman. I think he's one of the best 14-year-olds I've seen in a long time, man. The kid is going to be special, but he plays our off guard for us, and he can stretch the floor out and shoot threes really well. He's really athletic. Chris Hill is our glue guy to the team. He actually was on our team last year. He's a sophomore, but he's a special defender, has a good feel for it, and offensively he's a good slasher. TJ Crumble. I think you guys all know who he is. He's our best player. He's a 4-star kid. He's been recruited by a lot of different people, but he's so versatile. He can score inside, outside. And then our 5th starter varies. So I can't give away who we starting now because I'm sure the coach will know line, but those 4 are guys that we start, but our 5th varies.
Thank you, Coach. You talked a moment ago about the character of your program and what your kids deal with and the schedule that you play. How much does that help them deal with the pressure that comes with your program? I mean, 8 straight Final Four appearances, 2 straight championships. How does that help them?
I think it's the most important piece. Pressure is a privilege. And when you come to Lutheran East and our standard is state every single year, no matter who's on the roster, I think the only way you prepare them for that is you put them in pressure situations from the moment that they walk in. So we play the best schedule. We try to play as many good games or packed games and put our kids in the most adverse situations as possible so we can be prepared for this moment.
Thank you.
Sam, when you look at the team that you're about to play, Columbus Academy,
no longer being recorded.
They are they're a very solid team. I'm sure you've watched film on them. What is it that you think with this team that you may need to be concerned about, or what do you see in this team that you're about to play on Saturday?
Oh, well, first thing you notice is that how clean they are. Very, very clean team, very sharp team, well-disciplined. Those guys are very good defensively. They are super connected, and when you play a team like that, you got your work cut out for you because they will beat themselves. I think they play for one another. I think they play the game the right way. And they're 28-0 for a reason. So, we got to be ready to just be locked in and engaged for 32 minutes.
Coach Ryan Kavanaugh on the OHSAA Radio Network. Marty, you want to go?
Go, Ryan. You're the man.
Nicest compliment I got all day. Coach, a lot of people will look and say there's no seniors. Where do you get your leadership from? At the same time, you mentioned how successful your program has been throughout the tenure. But who would you say are the leaders on your team when time gets tough? Who's rallying the troops?
TJ Crumble, he's a junior. He's been in 2 state championships before, so he has some experience there. And then Chris Hill, who's a sophomore, who was on our team last year as a freshman, and he was a starter. So those 2 guys are our leaders when things get rough.
Hey, Sam, you've got one of the top freshmen in the state. I've seen him play. I know all about him. Talk about him for a minute to some of the other media guys on here, and what makes him so special, and what can they look for when they see him this weekend?
Well, first and foremost, Dylan Ziegler is he's a super humble kid. He's a team first guy. He's extremely talented, but you would never know it if you just saw him every day. He's totally about the team. He's totally about the work. He comes to school an hour and a half before school starts to work on this game. And a kid that gets it that early at that age and is dedicated to the work and the process is what makes him special. His game, he just can make tough shots, man. He can make tough shots. He's very athletic for his age. And I think that he has a poise about him that you don't see at that young age.
Coach Marty Bannister again with Spectrum. Take me back to your state semifinal win. What stood out about your team's performance in the win over Medford?
We were able to take a punch. Medford was a very, very good team. They had 2 really, really good ball players that are going to 2 really good D2 schools, some of the best in the country. Those guys were explosive offensively, those 2 players in itself, and they were really hard to defend because, they didn't really run a whole lot of action for them, but the fact that they can make plays off the dribble and improvise as well as they did, it kind of made it tough for us. But we were able to take their punch and handle some adversity, and handle their large crowd fan base. I think we were outnumbered at least about 1,000, and those guys stood strong in it and still was able to come out with a win. So I was super impressed by that.
We have time for one more with Coach Liggins.
Sam, talk about you guys year in and year out. You play one of the toughest schedules in the state, especially for a small school as yours. Talk about why you do it and what it does for your team in preparation for right now.
Well, I think you nailed it on the head. Everything is for this moment. Everything we do is for this moment, man. Our standard at Lutheran East is to state, that's what we play for. We never change our goal every year. It doesn't matter who walks through those doors. But it's playing competition. I mean, that's how and you can test yourself against other guys, see if you're good enough, and it kind of makes you better. Wins and losses in the regular season don't define you. Everything is built for this moment.
All right, that will do it for our time with Coach Liggins from Lutheran East. Sam, thanks for your time and your help during the tournament, and good luck in the state championship game.
Hey, thank you, guys.
All right, the visiting team in the Division 5 title game is Columbus Academy and Coach Jeff Worsler. Jeff, are you on with us? Jeff, are you there? Hang on one second. All right, stand by, everybody. Let me check with Coach.
Hello?
Is this Jeff? Jeff, are you on with us? Hang on one second.
Hello?
Hi, is this Jeff?
Yes, sir.
Hey, Coach. Thank you for calling in. Appreciate your time with us.
My pleasure.
Coach, before we get to questions, if you can take a minute to tell us about your team this season and your tournament run, we'll start with that.
Sure. It's been a great season for us. If you told me at the beginning of the year it would have been 28-0, I would have thought that would have been silly talk, and you just don't see that. So for these guys to be able to accomplish that, something huge. It's our school record and wins. We've only been in one state final in school history. It was 1981, so it's been a long time. So, the community's rallied around us. We've had a lot of success, but just not to this level, but we have guys that are committed to, every day is getting better day. And, we're trying to go 1-0 every day. We never really big picture anything. We take the next game as, our biggest goal. And, you can hear the buzzer. We're in practice now, and guys are committed to working hard and getting in a defensive stance and, being good citizens, all the kinds of things that can help make you successful in the long run and then in life later on.
All right. Thanks, Coach. Let's go to questions now. We'll start with Marty and then go to Ryan and then George.
All right. Coach, congratulations making it this far. Your first 5 that you put on the floor in the title game. Can you go down those guys and just give me a quick comment about each player, what stands out about them for you?
Sure. Thank you. And Jason Singleton is our point guard. He's just an awesome kid. His dad played at High State. He's the AD here. I had him in PE class in, second, third, and fourth grade. he can create his own shot, but he's just as happy finding people in spots where they can be successful. When Theo got hurt earlier in the season, Jason had to slide over to the point guard. Has done an amazing job with that. He's our best on-ball defender. He'll take on any defensive assignment we give him. He knows that's where we're built, is playing defense first, and he's more than willing to do that. He's super unselfish. It's never about him. I think everybody saw that when he got in foul trouble on Friday night. He's the quintessential team player. Theo Falkenhayn is he's been our point guard for 3 years. His freshman year, our point guard got hurt during football, and Theo had to step into that spot quickly. So he's had a ton of experience. He's going to go play basketball at Bates next year up in Maine, and he rises to every challenge. He's just gotten better and better and better as time goes along. Shoot, we don't have a chance on Friday night if it wasn't for what he did with the ball in his hands. So he's the kind of kid that he's a basketball junkie. He loves it. He and I talking NBA almost every day. He's just an awesome kid. But man, is he good with the ball? He executes. He generally doesn't turn it over too much, and just very calm and poised. Caden Ivory is a young, and he's a young sophomore, but man, has he come on. Left-handed kid. He's in here, 5:45 in the morning, 3 or 4 days a week, doing his work. And he has just gotten better and better. His defense has gotten 1,000 times better from where it was last year. He's assignment driven. He'll talk to me like, I feel like my details aren't right, and we'll go back through all his defensive, offensive details, trying to get things right. He strives to be fundamentally sound. He's just a great kid. Anderson Davis has just gotten better and better and better and better. Now he's taking on full defensive assignments in the last half of the year. I mean, he's been huge in the playoff run, guarding the other team's best, bigger player, and has done an amazing job at that. And he's going to play at either Case or Johns Hopkins next year, and I think they're getting a great one. And plus, you find some offense too. MJ Jackson's the glue. He's just the glue guy. He's what holds it all together. Yeah, I said it yesterday. Monday morning practice on spring break. But he brings it every day, which then increases the energy of everybody else. I've never coached a kid with a better motor than MJ Jackson.
Coach, how you doing, George? Coach, how you doing, George Howard?
I'm doing well. Nice talking to you, George.
Hey, good talking to you, Coach, and I am really super excited to see you guys this weekend. I've watched you guys a couple of times, and I love the style of play that you guys play. And I love how you've taken your team and you've kind of molded it around the players that you have. How do you see your team and the matchup that you're going up against on Saturday?
Yeah. Well, thanks for the kind words, George. This is a tough. This is obviously an extremely tough matchup. Not only is Luther and East talented, they do things well. Their motion stuff works. They know how to get people in spaces where they can be successful. They'll pressure the ball. They're so big and long. They can protect the rim. They can rally people to you. It's a tough matchup. We need to not view this as one versus one in any kind of spot where we say, well, so-and-so's got to be better than so-and-so. We've really got to keep this as a team mindset on both ends, with fundamental execution being key on both ends of the floor to keep us, in a position where we can be successful on Saturday. But this is the toughest matchup we've faced all year. I think everybody knows that. And, we're thrilled to be there, but we're going to bring everything we got. We'll get in the defensive stance. We'll play hard as heck, and we'll give them all we got on Saturday morning for sure.
Coach Ryan Cavanaugh, OHSAA Radio. Congratulations on all your success. Speaking of your success, you've ripped off 28 in a row. You've been a buzzsaw through the playoffs thus far. You just mentioned mindset, and I'd like you to speak a little bit about your players' mindset, the confidence that they have during this run, and where are they at coming into like you said, the biggest challenge on the biggest stage of the season? How are the players responding to the pressure?
Thank you for the kind words, and I think we're in a good spot, and I think that just comes from compartmentalizing your moment, and we understand that we can only we say stay where your feet are an awful lot, and we can only do what we can do today to make us better on Saturday. We do no looking ahead, no matter who we play. We don't say, well, down the line. I mean, they're human beings. I'm sure they might think it at some point or another, but we really stay right here. Like, we got some defensive drills. I'm looking through the window into the gym. We've got some defensive drills that we need to get through today, and we need to do them well. And guys realize if we just stay right where we're at, no matter where we're playing or who we're playing, we've got to worry about making us better while still scouting out what we have to play against. I think that helps our guys. They're smart kids here, and sometimes if you just say, hey, look, let's just take care of what we can take care of right now. 20 minutes will come in 20 minutes. The future's coming whether you like it or not. So we have to do what we can do right now. So 20 minutes from now will be a little bit better. And I think if we just keep it that way, then we'll give ourselves a chance to play really well against a great, talented, well-coached team.
Coach, one more quick question, if you don't mind. If you guys just dictate the pace of what this game looks like, let us behind the curtain. What does that pace? What is that going to look like?
I think we can do this. I don't think there's all. I hardly ever go into a game believing there's only one path. And I've been doing this for a long, long time, and I've had nights where I thought, boy, it's definitely gonna go this way, and all of a sudden it doesn't. And you have to be ready for that. I don't think we want to play this at breakneck pace, where it's like a 9-second shot clock or anything like that. I think we need to execute, on both ends. We need to be willing to play possessions where it's quick because transition dictates that it's quick, and we're still going to have to get a rebound off of that. And I think we're going to have to be prepared to sit in the stance for 25 seconds, or more, and vice versa. When we get a chance to get out in transition, we'll go. When we don't, we have to be able to execute what we're doing. So I'm not trying to stay away from how to answer it. I think there could be multiple ways this could go. I playing it at complete breakneck speed, but that doesn't happen very often. You get a couple games a year where you really get it out and go, and both teams, are like, hey, we can do this. Let's do it for a little bit. But eventually, you're going to have to get a stop in the half court. You're going to have to get a stop in transition, and you just have to prepare your guys as best you can, for basically anything that could happen.
Hey, Coach, at what point, George, go ahead, Tim, I'm sorry.
George, go ahead, and then this will be the last one.
No, Coach, at what point, you have a very special team. At one point, when did you realize that? Because I know nobody thought you guys were going to go undefeated. When did you realize that, hey, I've got a really special group of kids, and we can honestly possibly do this?
We knew we were good at the beginning of the season. I don't know if we knew we were this. The first Reedy game where we kind of slogged through the fourth quarter a little bit, and they played great, and they really took it to us and ended up taking the lead late, and we were ultra calm through all of that, had to get a stop at the end of the game and then win in overtime. I think that's probably that moment where you're like, okay, when it was close, we were able to keep our bearings. We were able to stay calm in a big crowd, and we're able to get a victory out of that. I think that's probably the first moment. And then the second one was probably when we beat Fairbanks in the district title game. I thought Fairbanks had some things that could really bother us. We had scrimmaged them early in the year, and there were a couple things I thought, boy, they're going to bug us with some of this stuff. And we were able to really get out on them and get away from them. And I didn't necessarily see that happen that way. I think that was the other moment where you're like, hey, we might be able to do, something special here. I think those were probably the two big moments. Like I said, we knew we'd be good up front. I don't, again, that 28-0 thing, George, I wasn't really thinking that.
All right, Jeff, that'll do it for our time. Thank you so much for calling in. Really appreciate that, and good luck in the state championship game.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure, guys. Thank you.
All right, that'll wrap it up for Division 5, and we're going to move on to Division 4. The home team in that game is Glenville, and head coach Brian Autrix. Brian, are you on with us?
Yes, I'm on.
All right, thanks. Brian, before we hear from you, just a reminder to all our folks here on the Division 4 teleconference, please keep your background noise to a minimum. And also, we are recording the teleconference. We'll have a transcript as well. And please reach out if you're looking for information. Before we get to questions, Brian, if you could take a minute and tell us about your Glenville team and your tournament run, and then we'll start with Brennan Gulick on questions. But Brian, go ahead.
First of all, thank you guys for having me. We're honored to be in this position. It's been a really, really great year, really exciting year for our team. We've had a lot of ups and downs, but it's just been a great story, a great thing to be a part of, to see our guys, come together the way that they have. How we grew as a team, how we started to believe in each other, how we started to believe in, what we were doing, and just to see that belief grow, to be able to see those guys really, understand what we were trying to accomplish and what it would take to accomplish it. It's just been a blessing and a great thing to be a part of. It's been a great season. It's been a great journey.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate that. Let's go to questions. We'll start with Brendan Gulick.
Thanks, Tim. Coach, congrats on an incredible run. Obviously, this has been a special year as a team, but also for you. Can you just give us an idea of maybe where you were, in the preseason? What did you think this team was capable of? What were your expectations coming into the year? And then how did those evolve as the season went along? You alluded to, starting to believe in each other along the way. What were the things that told you that this team was capable of this kind of a run?
Well, early on, I knew we had the talent. And a lot of times here, since I've been here and historically, we always have talent. We always have, pretty good athletes. And, you just wanted to make sure that, there's no selfishness, that guys are going to really buy in, that everybody is not going to come in with their own agenda. And, those were the questions, early on. Will guys be able to really, accept the role that they would need to play for us to be successful? Will we be, understand about how hard it is to win and how hard you have to play to actually win? Those was all our questions. And I think early on, we had a couple early losses where, those were the things that stopped us, right? We had some selfishness within our team, and we wasn't, playing together and making the right plays. And, we wasn't playing hard enough all the time because of it. So, as the year went on, at the beginning of the year, our team, we read the book, Chop Wood, Carry Water, right? Like that was our preseason thing. We did that the entire preseason. Guys wrote papers on it and we read it and we went through a whole process with that book. And I think that kind of set the tone, for the mindset that we had, throughout the whole season. We knew it would be a process. We knew we would have to continue to, win, lose, or draw through the ups and downs. Every day you guys just come back and do the work. You just got to keep chipping away at it, keep believing in each other. And, as the season went on, we went through some ups and downs, and you just start to see guys put their own, agendas and own selfishness to the back and really just start to play for each other. You know what I mean? And I think, once we started to see that, we knew we had a chance to do something special because we knew we had the talent.
And then how about specific to this matchup, Coach? What is it about Maysville that impresses you? And, where do you hope that your guys can excel in this game?
I think the biggest thing with them, if you can put the ball in the basket and you can shoot the basketball, you know what I mean? That's always something that's difficult to guard. Those guys can shoot the basketball extremely well. They space you out. They're very disciplined, right? So that's the biggest thing for me. They put you in a tough spot because you have to figure out, what's the best way to defend that, right? What do you want to give up? The guys have to be disciplined in how they close out. You have to be disciplined in, in your defensive game plan. And, we have to really, really be solid on that, right? So when they can space you out like that and they can put multiple guys on the floor at one time, they can knock down threes, that's difficult to guard. So, we have to be disciplined in that. And we have to, make sure that we stick to the game plan. We know that they're going to make shots. We can't allow that to, discourage us. We can't allow that to make us start to play a different type of way. It's basketball, right? I'll tell the guys all the time, I've never seen a game end 0-0 or 0 to anything. You know what I mean? So they're going to score. They're a good team. They're in the championship for a reason. So you have to weather those storms. You have to weather those runs that they may make. And you have to just, chop wood, carry water. You have to continue to stay disciplined. And we have to execute, right? We have to execute on our end when we get the ball, and we have to take good shots, right? We have to have really good possessions. We can't allow, taking bad shots and being undisciplined to, get them in transition and get them open looks, right? So we have to make sure when we have the ball, we're taking the best shots possible. We're using our, physicality and our athleticism, to get the shots that we want. So, but they're very good. They're a very good team for sure.
Coach Otrich, David Marshall. How's it going, Coach?
Good.
Congratulations on your first title run. Could you real quick summarize your coaching journey?
So I actually was a college football player. I played at Tennessee Tech University. When I graduated from school, so Ted Ginn Jr. is my best friend, and I've been really close with him and his family. So that when I graduated from college was the first year that Ginn Academy High School opened in 2007. So when I came here, I coached football for a year, and then our district had like an extramural league where they had, schools like Ginn Academy and Garrett Morgan and several others in our district where they started an extramural league, and they asked me to be the coach. So I coached the Ginn Academy extramural team for several years. I coached, my son played, basketball, and I started an AAU team with him and his friends. So I coached that for a long time. And I also, when I left Ginn Academy, I coached at Rhodes High School for 3 years as an assistant. Leaving Rhodes, I left Rhodes and I took a job at Beechwood that came open. So I was going to be the assistant coach at Beechwood. So I was there for like the entire summer. And when we came back to school, the assistant coaching job at Glenville had opened up. So I immediately, jumped on that. That's a job that I always, wanted, the program that I always wanted to be a part of. I work here in the school. I have been here. A lot of these, guys were my guys. Our AAU program, Ginn Elite, was directly connected with the school. So it just made sense. And Coach Hope, Coach Michael Hope, he had been here for 22 years, you know what I mean? So me and him talked, he asked me to come in, and, he really gave me an opportunity to really, coach the team, right? Like, he was on the back end of his career, so he allowed me to come in, try new things, develop as a coach, run the practices, really come up with the game plans, do the scouting reports. And I just continued to do all those things. And I was assistant here with him for 9 years. So last year he retired, but his last 2 years, he had kind of took the assistant role where he sat down. He allowed me to stand up and coach the games. He allowed me to, like I said, lead the practices and put in anything I wanted to offensively and defensively. So, those years just allowed me to grow as a coach and, without the pressure of, the head coaching responsibilities, right? It let me kind of do my thing. And, I'm always thankful for Coach for that. And he retired last year, and I stepped in this year, officially as the head coach.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right, we can have one more with Brian from Glenville if there's another question.
Coach, this is George Howard. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
When did you realize, that you had something special? When did you realize that your guys had bought into, your what you were selling and what you wanted from this team? At what point during the season did you realize that?
I think so. Towards the end of the year, so we played a pretty solid non-conference schedule. Towards the end of the year, we had a little bit of, adversity on our team, and I just watched our guys come together and band together. We had lost a couple, games, and then when we won our city championship, and the way that we played and the way that we competed, we told our guys, if you can just consistently play at this level, you're going to be a tough team to beat. It was just a lot of inconsistencies. But after that city championship, we kind of knew we had something special. And then, on this tournament run, when competing with Akron Bookdale, you get a win over Akron Bookdale, and then you get a win over a team like Orangeville. You know what I mean? It just showed that our guys could play at a high level. Like I said, we knew it. We knew we could. We just had to show that consistency. And I think, towards the end of the year, around that city championship time, we kind of knew what we had. We got some big wins, earlier in the season that, we knew, but it was just that consistency. And we had a loss earlier to Lutheran West, but it was a close game, and that was a really good team. So we knew if we cleaned up some of those mistakes, that we could be really good. And we just continued every day to work on that.
All right, that will do it for our time with Glenville. Brian, thanks for your time and appreciate you calling in. Good luck in the state championship game.
Thank you guys for having me. Thank you.
Thank you. The visiting team in the Division IV championship game is Maysville, and that's head coach Dave Brown. Dave, are you with us?
We're on here, sir.
Great. Thank you for calling in. Appreciate your time. We'll get to questions in a minute, but let's have you start out by telling us a little bit about your team and your tournament run.
Yeah, so, we were in the Division II state finals last year. We lost to Alder. We had 3 starters back that were sophomores, obviously lost a lot. And our senior class with Alex Bobby was our all-time leading scorer. He went on to play at Marietta. And our best defender graduated as well, and a couple key bench players. So we knew we had a lot to replace, but I think it was positive. And, we had 4 kids that played significant minutes that played in the state championship game last year. Did we think we could get back to this point? I don't know. We just continue to work every single day to get better. I've got a great staff around that helps me and helps our guys be better. And the kids just bought in and have worked extremely hard every day. We try not to look ahead at anything, just one day at a time, and continue to just to get 1% better every single day. And we find ourselves back, blessedly in a state championship game.
All right, thanks, Coach. We'll take some time here for questions. Let's start with Brendan Gulick.
Hi, Coach. Congratulations on a great season here, and looking forward to seeing you guys play on Friday. When you guys are at your absolute best, what does that look like to you?
Our absolute best is, we like to, obviously play fast. We're in the 70s in points per game. We're, running and jumping on defense. Again, getting out in transition, getting stops. And, we like to shoot the three a lot, as you'll see on Friday afternoon. So.
And then how about unique to this matchup with Glenville? Are there certain matchups that you look at that you think are posing substantial problems for you?
Yeah, I mean, they're obviously, very big and athletic. The Vickerstaff kid's obviously a really good player. Strong, shoots it really well from three. So we'll have our hands full in guarding him, and Nelson and Irby obviously long as well. And then their point guard is a really good player, and the Castro kid. So I think it has the makings to be a really good basketball game, like Friday night was with Wyoming. They're obviously really, really good. Watching them on film, they're strong, they're physical. So we're gonna have our hands full.
Hey, Coach Brown, this is Brandon with the Times Recorder here in Zanesville. With this group here, like obviously you knew you had some pieces coming back. Was there a moment or a game where you really knew that this team could make that run and put yourself back in a position to be in the state tournament?
Yeah, I think our matchup with Tri-Valley, mid-February. Even though we lost the game, they're very good, very athletic. In Division III, it was toe-to-toe for 32 minutes. They ended up edging us, but I thought our kids really competed, and I think from that moment on, we just continued to get better every single day. But I think I look at that as like it was a huge turning point in our season. Like showed our kids that we could play with anybody.
Coach Brown, David Marshall. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Coach. Go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, Coach, this is George Howard. How you doing?
Good. How are you doing? I remember you.
I'm doing good. Yeah.
Hey, thanks for that suit too.
Hey, that's okay, man. I'm excited about you guys coming down. Hey, I was one of your biggest fans last year. I love the excitement that your crowd brought and that your team, the way your team played. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys. At what point during the year, and I've asked other coaches the same question, at what point during the year did you realize, hey, maybe tell your coaches, we can get back there again. We've got a special group of kids, and it looks like we might be able to return back to Dayton. At what point did you maybe feel that?
Honestly, to start the year, we set a goal to win our league, the MVL, which, we went out and won our league. And then we set a goal to win a district title. We just don't want to think too far ahead. Just one game at a time and just get better every single day, 1% better every day. And, we won a district title, and, we said, now it's time to win a regional title. So we just kind of set, small mini goals. We don't want to look too far ahead. Just, again, focus on that everyday process of being better. And I think, our kids have bought into that the last couple of years and just continue to work, tirelessly to get to this point. So.
Hey, Coach Brown. David Marshall, how's it going?
Good. How are you doing?
Doing well. Really nice win up in Springfield. Couldn't do it any better, right? I mean.
Yeah. I think that put a few years on it took a few years off my life. I know that.
Well, the good thing with this new format, you do have time to recover. So that's been good. So.
Yeah, I think
so let me ask you during. Yeah, I believe that. But Coach, during this journey of yours in this season, what are some of the special things about this team that you enjoy the most? And could you share that with us?
Yeah. We just have a great group of kids that love basketball. We won that game on Friday, and they all wanted to, ride with us to watch on Saturday as Hawken and Glenville played. So, they just love basketball, which is really good. And, they always want to be in the gym. They always want to get shots up. When our season ends, they're going to be starting AAU on Monday or Tuesday. So, when you have kids like that just love basketball and want to, the possibilities are endless of how good you can become. So I think a lot of our kids are self-made just from how hard they work. And you'll see we're not going to be physically imposing as we walk onto the floor. We're not overly tall. We're not overly strong. But I think our kids have worked hard to put themselves in the best position to make themselves the best basketball players as they possibly can.
Thank you, Coach.
Yeah.
All right. Do we have any more questions for Dave Brown from Maysville? Okay.
I'll
If
just
not,
ask one more here before we wrap up, if that's okay, Tim.
Yeah, go ahead,
Coach, this
Brendan.
is Brendan Gulick again. Just one quick one here. I'm curious how your experience coaching in the state final last year might shape your approach this year. Did you learn something that caught you by surprise, or the way the team reacted? What was your experience like last year, and how will you use that?
Yeah, the TV timeouts were a little bit, different. Having 2 minutes at every, at the 4-minute mark at the quarter. So that was something we'll get used to. But we told our last year's team, like, our team is extremely close. They all love each other. Just having more time together to get better, to enjoy our process, being as good as we can possibly be. So, I took away that, you got to enjoy it too, because, you're not going to get there every single year. Most coaches don't get there, and, to be able to do it 2 times in a row is special. Just, we get to share that with our kids, make memories with our kids. We're going to enjoy the weekend in Dayton with our kids. So, it's, again, just a close-knit group that love to be around each other, and we're going to cherish every memory we can make this weekend. And it's nice to have, a little bit extra time to prepare. We played, 12 hours after Shelby. We played Alder. So, it was nice having a little time to prepare for the other team. So I guess the week off benefited in that way too.
All right, that'll do it for our time. Dave, thanks for calling in. Really appreciate it, and good luck in the state championship game.
Hey, thank you, guys.
All right, that will wrap it up for Division 4, and we will move on to Division 3. And the home team in the Division 3 game is Louisville, and head coach Tom Siegfried. Coach, are you on with us?
Yeah, I am.
Great. Thank you for calling in. Appreciate it. For all those calling in for Division 3, just a reminder that we'll have an audio recording of this teleconference and a written transcript. And if you're looking for information, rosters and stats, please reach out to me here at the OHSAA. The home team in the Division 3 game is Louisville. Coach Siegfried, if you could take a couple minutes first before we go to questions and tell us about your team and your tournament run, and then we'll start with Marty.
Yeah, Louisville is led by 8 seniors this year. Our entire rotation is seniors, and we're a team that's been kind of building on this for 3 to 4 years. We have a lot of these guys that are 3 to 4 year letter winners and have had a lot of success. We ran into the buzzsaw of St. Vincent St. Mary. A lot of these kids freshman year were en route to their state championship, and just looking forward to the experience. We've had a very exciting run, which we believe to be one of the toughest divisions in all 7, with the quality of teams. Won the district versus Canal Fulton Northwest pretty handily, and then had some really tough games in the regional semi versus Sales with an overtime win. A very hard-fought win against Bishop Hartley, a very good Bishop Hartley team in the regional final in Columbus, and then a comeback win against Garfield Heights in the state semis at the Canton Fieldhouse in an electric atmosphere that was really, really rewarding for our kids and our community.
Coach Marty Bannister with the OHSAA Radio Network. You mentioned getting to this point, you've been close in the past. Is the experience the biggest reason you got over the hump this year, the experience you've gained in those past games?
Yeah, without question. I think these guys have really played off of that. We have 2 3-year letter winners, 2 4-year letter winners that were all part of that run, and even some of the other ones that were, along for the ride, practice with us during that time. So I think just the length of the season, the type of mental exhaustion that games take out of you, sometimes if you don't have that experience, it can really weigh on you as you get deep. And I just thought, even going back to the regional semi with the Sales, maybe some other teams in the past, that might have been maybe too much for them to recover and then refocus for a regional final or a state semi. But our kids have done a great job with the refocus factor and have really stepped up and had great practices and great focus leading into these final games of the year.
Quick comment about your team, Coach, either side of the ball style-wise, offensively, defensively, where you hang your hat both sides of the ball.
Yeah, offensively, we like to go. Unfortunately, when you get to the tournament, obviously we know that point totals tend to drop a little bit. It becomes a little bit more defense-oriented, but we're score by committee. We're led by 2 Division II signees, and my son, Bo Siegfried, the point guard, going to Ashland, and then Braden Gross, who will probably be up for possibly a Player of the Year type candidate in Ohio. He's a multi-dimensional 6'7", kind of post-forward type player, even brings the ball up sometimes. And those 2 kind of lead us, but then we have a number of other options as well that really do a good job of taking the load away from those 2. So we like to share the ball. We like to, have bounce scoring. Definitely a half-court oriented team, but also like to push when the opportunity's there. Defensively, we like to get up and go, sure. But at the same time, we, are able to be multidimensional with how we play, and that was kind of shown by Garfield Heights game this last weekend.
Thank you.
Yep.
Hey, Tom, this is Josh Weir from the Repository. How you doing, buddy?
Good.
Hey, with your experience level and the schedule you guys have played, can you kind of talk about, your confidence level and just your guys being, ready for that moment and that stage on Friday?
Yeah, I think, we know, going back to the first question with, what we talked about with our experience in 3 4-year letter winners, and then you throw on top of there a schedule that got ramped up here this year. We've always played a great schedule, but we were kind of used to that D1 status. And once we went to 7 divisions, we kind of kept that status and then moved forward even more. So we had the likes of Richmond Heights, St. Ignatius, St. Ed, St. B's, Kettering Altar. And then we went to a national tournament out in Torrey Pines, California. And Westerville North, who's, obviously one of the favorites here to win Division II, played them as well at Capitol. That type of schedule, I think, just kind of makes you ready for anything. Not so much that they're good teams, but they all bring a different dimension, a different style that you're going to run in a long tournament run. I think that's really served us well as we've made this run.
Thanks, Tom.
Yep.
Coach, how you doing? This is George Howard. How you doing, Coach?
Good, buddy. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Well, we just talked not too long ago, and here you guys are coming to Dayton to the state championship game. Talk about your opponent and what maybe worries you about them, and what you're looking at when you watch film on your opponent.
Well, I think they're kind of a mirror image of us, to be very honest with you. They play really, really hard. They rely on their defensive pressure. They have some great scorers, multi-dimensional. Obviously they're led by their 2 guards, very talented guys. And anytime you can watch another team and you can't really find their weakness and they do multiple things well, it always concerns you. But, as I explained to our guys, as we've gone through these last couple rounds, you don't get to a Final Four, a regional final, and play bad teams. So we know what we're getting into. We just try to do the best you can to slowing some of these guys down. We were with Marcus here in the state semis. He thought we defended him really well, but he still walks out there with 25 points. So I think overall, just the respect for how hard they play, how together, how connected they are, and really reminds me a lot of our team, and definitely they deserve to be there.
Coach Ryan Cavanaugh from OHSAA Radio. Congrats on getting to this point. Couple fun questions, perhaps. I know your son's there. You've got a bunch of seniors, and I apologize if you said this, but how long have you been watching and coaching this group of kids playing together?
That is a fun question, and the answer to that is 9 years old. So when I started this, I've been being the head coach for 18 years, but had some great teams, go pretty far in the tournament. But when these guys were 9, 10 years old, I would run my practice obviously every day, usually after school, and then my wife would bring me dinner, and then I would run our youth practice for another 2 hours. So I know these guys inside and out. Obviously it's going to be bittersweet on Saturday or on Friday because it's what we wanted to get to at the end, but at the same time we know it's the end. Whether that's good or bad at the end, we know it's the end, and they're just great young men. I know that I have a obviously special place for them with how much time I've spent with them. But basketball players, everybody sees the skill, but they're even better individuals. They've participated in, I think, 4 or 5 national volunteer services, and even when we've gone places like California, Florida, they're always looking to volunteer their time and give back to the communities that we go to. So yeah, it's been a great ride and very special to have my son, but I truly feel the other 7 are kind of stepsons to me as well.
If I could follow that up with one that's another fun question. I was at the field house. I had the game before yours on Sunday, and I felt like I was walking through Cleveland during the St. Patrick's Day parade with all the blue shirts.
Yeah.
Your community coming in to support, and as packed as that game, I heard you had 4,200 people there. How many people from your community are coming down? What has that support been like for you, Coach?
Yeah, it's our home games are something special. Those people that have been there, even to state level, that have come in to check out our home games, I think fully understand what this community does. But to see it on the road, we played in the regionals at the Expo Center in Columbus. It's about a 2-hour drive for our fans. And when we played DeSales and Bishop Hartley, we were probably 2 or 3 to 1 in fans to teams that are, 10, 15 minutes down the road. The other night, I believe Mr. Bogdan said that, I think the field house holds like 4,700 approximately, or 4,600. And I believe that we sold over 4,000 tickets just for Louisville. So it's a special place. Maybe a lot of people don't know where Louisville is at or what they're about, but I would rival this community to anyone. And to be D3 and to play the type of teams that we've played and beat is truly remarkable, but it's also a major factor in our community to defeat all 4 division or state champs in a calendar year. That's a great accomplishment for a school our size.
Coach, this is Coach Howard again. I actually kind of at the beginning of the year when people were talking about Louisville, I actually said at one point that I thought that last year's team was a little better than this year's team. At what point did you know that you really, really had something special and that you had a chance to go down to Dayton?
Honestly, it was in June of last year. We brought everybody back from last year's team except for Hayden Nigro. Now, don't get me wrong. He was a Mr. Ohio basketball candidate and all-time leading scorer at Louisville, but not easily replaced. But every single other guy came back to our team this year, and we played in the Midwest Live event, and then we also played in the live event in Kentucky, and went 4-0 Midwest Live, and then in Kentucky played really, really well down there. I think we're 5-1 or something of that sort. So we kind of saw what we had. We saw some role guys, some 6, 7, 8 possible men that stepped in and filled the role. We asked more from Bo and Braden to pick up the slack with Hayden. But honestly, it's just been a reload situation for Louisville. We also had, that team that had Will Aljancic, who went on to Finley and now looks like he's going to be moving on to D1. We had to replace him the year before. And I'm just proud of what the program brings to the table and, really never settles for anything less than these types of runs now. And I would say last June, but yeah, it was a special team last year as well. But unfortunately, we got stuck against a Division I hot team at that point in Glen Oak.
All right, that will do it for our time with Tom from Louisville. Good luck, Coach, in the state championship game. Really appreciate your time with us today.
I appreciate being on, and good luck to all of those that are participating.
Thanks, Coach. The visiting team in the Division III championship game is Cincinnati Aiken, and that's head coach Darrell Black. Coach Black, are you on with us?
Yes, I'm on.
Great. Thank you for calling in. Really appreciate your time. Before we go to questions, Coach, if you can take a few minutes and tell us about your team and your tournament run, and then we'll start with Marty.
Yeah, we were in a similar situation to Louisville as far as being last year. Thought we had a pretty good team, and then we got put with probably the team that was the most defensive disciplined team in the Southwest Ohio region for Division I, and we had an early exit, but we lost only one starter, and we brought in some younger guys, and the group was hungry to try to reach a state championship. And although we didn't know how realistic it was, we knew that was the goal. So we had a big summer. I think we played in like 10 team camps. I think we used every one of our days to go some type of team camp or whatnot. And at the Midwest Live, we did well. I think we ended up being 2-1 or 3-1. And from that point on, we knew we had something special. So our schedule was pretty ramped up from the years past. We kept a lot of the Division I heavy hitters down here on there. And we traveled to play against a lot of tough Kentucky teams like Louisville Ballard and Woodford County and things of that sort. So we knew we were battle tested, and luckily, or however we want to call it, we were able to go all the way to 21-0, and we failed to try wood at the buzzer in the last game of the season. And I thought it couldn't have came at a better time to kind of motivate us to get this run jump started and just have our guys lock in and understand what the goal was. And we knew that we would play Trotwood again in the regional final. Was our goal to get back to that game, and then whatever else happened after that was just icing on the cake. So it's just an unbelievable blessing to be this far and have a chance to compete for the school's first state championship.
Hi, Coach. Marty Bannister with the OHSAA Radio. I had your game Sunday against Sandusky at the Nutter Center. You talked about your team being one of the best third quarter teams in the state of Ohio, and again, it stood up for you on Sunday. What is it about that mentality when you come out from the half that helps you, like in a game like Sunday?
I don't know. I would rather not have to be the best third quarter team in the state, but it is good to perform well, in the second half. But I think that's just us, every halftime, the coaches, we let the players go in there and get like the first 4 minutes by themselves to talk about what they need to change, what they need to do better. And then we sit out there in the hallway as coaches and put together a plan from what we saw out there in the first half, and then try to make adjustments based on that. So I think it's just a thing where we get to reset and refocus, and I think our coaches do a good job of seeing what was working well for that team and try to figure out ways where we can take advantage of what they were doing. So I think it's just, a combination of different things. So it's just been kind of a good thing for us this year.
You talked also going into the game about the play of Jaden Arnold and how he might be. You said you would like to, if there's a better senior guard in Ohio, you'd like to see him. He was your leader again on Sunday. Just talk about him and what he's meant to your program.
Jaden Arnold, he was a kid that was on the radar, heavily as a young child. I think he played for like LeBron's blue chip team with Bryce James on there, and it was a viral video on YouTube with LeBron coaching him. And from that point, you thought he was going to be this mega superstar, and he gets to middle school, gets an injury as an 8th grader, and after that, he kind of fell off the big school's radar, and then he had to grind his way back as a freshman and sophomore, and he decided to switch schools, and his parents moved down to Hartwell, and he ended up back at Aiken with us, and I had coached him as a 7th grader, so I knew he had a lot of skill and talent. But he's just a phenomenal kid. He's going to Purdue Fort Wayne, and he's the hardest worker on the team. He keeps his teammates involved. He actually built a brotherhood with the whole team, and now these guys hang out nonstop. That's all they want to do is be in the gym, be around each other. And Jaden's just a kid who doesn't want to see his brothers lose. So he does whatever he needs to do to get better. And last year with us, he shot a lot of shots, wasn't as efficient as we would have liked. And I think a lot of teams kind of planned for that, like that he was going to take tough shots and not make them sometimes. But this year, I think he's shooting like 56% from the field and 39 or 38 from the three-point line. He's just way more efficient than he was, and he's just a little bit more locked in than he ever been since he's been with us.
Thank you.
Coach, this is Coach Howard, George Howard. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. How you doing, Coach?
Hey, good. I got a two-part question for you. What did that win, that loss at Trotwood, do for your team's mental? And then how does it make you guys feel seeing the turnout that you have from Cincinnati, how Cincinnati has embraced you guys, and I thought you had one heck of a turnout on Sunday.
Yeah. The first part, the Trotwood part is that I knew that our kids really wanted that game, and in the locker room, a lot of kids were crying and upset because they wanted to go 22-0. And I just told the guys, and I had a big old smile on my face. I said, "That's probably exactly what you needed." And I said, the good thing about basketball is you get another chance to do it again with the tournament starting up. So it was kind of our focus. We had to make sure that we didn't overlook any of our opponents because we knew we wanted to get back to Trotwood. We knew they had an easier route to the regional finals than us, but we also knew that if we got back there that we got a chance to get a little bit of redemption. And before that game, we actually played at Princeton against LaSalle. And LaSalle was always one of the heavy hitters in Division I. They ended up being Division III. And they played a style that wanted to slow us down. It was a tough game, but the crowd was so packed in Princeton. I've never seen Princeton sold out like that to watch two high school teams play. And then the following game at Centos Center, the whole lower bowl was pretty much sold out just to support our kids. And it's been a phenomenal thing. And I saw the Louisville game at the King Memorial, and it was packed in there. So I've been looking at the tickets right now, and it's looking like it's going to be another packed event for us on Friday. So just seeing both communities come out is going to be a great thing for those students.
5:20.
Hey, Coach, this is Josh. We're at the repository in Canton. I was just wondering if you could tell me, like, what stands out to you about Louisville, and what do you think is going to be important in this matchup?
Well, they got Bo and Brady. Those are the type of players that make you stay up late at night. I coach his son, in Bo, so he's going to be real smart. He's going to know the system inside and out. And just from a community like Louisville, I know them guys probably been playing together for forever. So I know the type of brotherhood that comes with being around people for a long time. The continuity, the way they shoot the three ball is phenomenal. The way they slip those screens, you got to be disciplined. They run a lot of good stuff. And we've been watching Louisville since the beginning of the season because they were in all these rankings as the top teams in Ohio that came out on prep hoops and things of that nature. So we've been watching them. They had a heck of a schedule, probably one of the toughest schedules, if not the toughest schedule in Division III, and they beat some pretty good teams. So we know they were a super well-coached team, and some people predicted we'd be playing somebody else in the state finals, and I was telling everybody, like, Louisville's going to be a well-coached team with some great players. So we knew we couldn't count nobody out, and just the matchup that we got now. So, but, like I told the kids, you get this far, you don't play bad teams no more. You got to play a good team. You got to go earn it. But they have a phenomenal team that can space the floor out, shoot the heck out of the ball, and I know they're going to play for each other. So those are the things that kind of concern me.
Thanks, Coach.
Coach, this is Coach Howard. I was just getting ready to ask you, what is it about Louisville that does concern you, and what do you see with them when you watch tape? Because I've done 2 of their games, and I know they have a strong post presence. So what do you see when you watch Louisville?
Well, I think it's the other guys. Like, Bo and Brady going to be phenomenal, right? So if you try to key in on those guys, then I'm sorry, I don't know the names, but like number 13 is another guy that can play in the post and shoot the three. Number 10 is a guy that can shoot phenomenally from the three-pointer. They are physical, they're aggressive, and they're battle-tested. So I think that's the thing that concerns you at this point is, like, there's no more bad teams. Everybody's going to be battle-tested. Everybody's going to have more than just 1 or 2 guys. And I think the rotation that they can get Braden out for a few minutes and insert another guy, he can be just as physical and play the game the same way. So I think Braden's ability to pass out of double teams is great. So but he's also able to go one-on-one. And then Bo is just a silent killer. Like he shoots a good 3-ball from deep. He runs the show. They got a lot of great things going on, and on top of that schedule. So it'll be the biggest challenge of the year for us.
Coach, this is Ryan Kavanaugh with OHSAA Radio. We're running short on time, I'm sure, but real quick, we know James going to do his thing, but as you look up at this matchup, can you identify one or two players on your team where you're saying, look, to win, these guys got to have big games for them?
Yep. So Javon Smith, our 6'6" post guy, play outside, play inside. In the summer, he was phenomenal, like 20 points a game, and in the season, he's kind of taking a step back, but we've been talking to him about trying to win that one-on-one matchup. We got another big 6'7", DeAndre Carr, short off the bench, who brings a lot of energy, athleticism. So we got a lot of guys we're going to try to throw in, try to see if they can win some one-on-one matchups. And then James Burnett has been one of our best scorers. He's a guy that I think he's around 17 points a game, but he can easily go for 25 points a game. He has a couple games where he reached that mark this season. And then one of our guys like Antonio Hutchinson, Antoine Hinton, or Justin Hawkins, one of our guards, they need to get hot and be able to make some shots. Justin Hawkins is a guy that hit about 7 threes in a few games. So I know some of their numbers don't look that great, but hopefully they have the best game of their lives coming up on Friday. And can help, because I know Jaden's going to garner a lot of attention, but I think James Burnett, who's probably going to end up at D2 guy, is the guy that can go get hot and get 25, 30 points in this game.
All right, Coach Black, thanks a lot for your time with us here on the media teleconference. That'll wrap up our time for Division III. Thanks for calling in. Appreciate your time, Coach.
Thank you.
All right.
Call is no longer being
we are going to
recorded.
move on to Division II. And for those calling in, just a reminder that please keep your background noise to a minimum, and we'll have a audio recording and transcript of the teleconference. Please let me know if you need that, along with any information, roster, stats on the teams. We're going to move on to Division II, and the home team in that game is Massillon Perry, and that's head coach Matt Voll. Matt, are you on with us?
Yes, I am, Tim.
Thank you for calling in, Matt. Appreciate that. If you can take a minute to tell us about your team and your tournament run, and then we'll go to questions. We'll start with David Wilson on that, but Coach Voll, go ahead.
Absolutely. Hey, this is my second year in the program at Massillon Perry High School. Last year we were 5-18. We play in the Federal League, and it's a program that has stumbled over the past few years, and we were just trying to get it up and going. My first year, we were close. We were competitive with a few of our opponents in the league. The one game that stuck out to me was Green, who won the league at 9-3 my first year. We lost to them by a point, so I felt we were close, but we never pushed through. Same thing this year. We got off to a good start. We were 4-0, and then you get into the grind of your league, and we were competitive for the most part. Had some good wins for sure, but we finished out the regular season at 9-13, and we had a chance to reset. And I think those 8 or 9 days that we had between that last regular season game to the start of the tournament was really healthy for our guys, and we were able to refocus. And then when we went off and played our first tournament game up at Amherst Steel, we went, it was like an hour and a half drive, hour and 40-minute drive all the way from Massillon to Amherst. And I think the team kind of found itself in that area, that time. And then, you go in and you're playing for a district championship, and you're fortunate enough to have a good run against them and hit a couple of free throws to win the game. And then we moved on to Akron and hit another buzzer beater game, and playing in a regional final was another team like us, Shaker Heights. They were an underdog. We were the underdog. Both teams had losing records, but both teams played a really good schedule. And then we moved on to the state semifinal right there at the field house and 10 minutes away from home, and played a really good North Royalton team. They were real hot. They won like 24 in a row. And for us to finish out that game, in the fourth quarter was really, really a great thing for our kids. So, you go from the beginning of just trying to find yourself, connect. Maybe that connection can drive your success. And now that success has even driven our connection stronger. So it's a combination of being early couple years in a program, and and here we are.
Thanks, Matt. Appreciate that. Let's go to questions. We'll start with David.
Hey, Coach, great story. Looking forward to seeing you guys play. And I guess maybe to start with, if you could just comment on Luke Wolf, who has just been clutch for you in the last 3 games. I know he hit 2 late foul shots against North Royalton, and then the 3 free throws against Solon in the district final. Can you just talk about how he's done it and what makes him tick in those situations?
Yeah, Luke's one of those kids. He's a 6'6", really good shooter, good basketball player, and he's been a late bloomer. He was a 3-sport athlete, football, track, basketball, and he really honed in on his skills. And when after my first year, and Luke has handled the ball a lot for us, and he's always been able to shoot. He's always been able to be a good player. But what he's done for our team in those moments is just been incredible. And his potential, it's just rising and rising. 3 straight free throws, down 2, gets fouled shooting a 3 in the district finals. He nails all 3 free throws. He hits a 26-footer at the buzzer, a 20-footer, whatever, to beat Warren G. Harding, which was a really, really good team. And then, once again, knocking down foul shots in the last minute of the game in the state semifinal. Just clutch. Happy for that kid. You couldn't ask for a nicer kid and better, student athlete. Represents everything that you would want.
David, if you want to ask a follow-up, go ahead, and then we'll go to Jen.
Yeah, will do, Tim. Coach, just talk about the supporting cast for Luke and maybe some other players that have risen to the occasion during this improbable run to the state final.
Yeah, our starting 5, we have 3 seniors. The other 2 seniors beside Luke is our 2 wing players, Darnell McLeod. Darnell's the son of Keith McLeod, who played in the NBA with the Utah Jazz. He was a Camp McKinley kid. So he comes from pretty good lineage. Darnell moved into our school district just early in high school, was living with mom out in Utah, came to Ohio. So Darnell's really blossomed, and you could see his fundamentals and his development has really grown. His athleticism, his explosiveness has been always there. And then the other kid that's a senior, Drake Jacobson, he's our second leading scorer. Same thing, kid that's really has emerged into a really, really good basketball player in a lot of different areas. And then Luke's cousin, Nico Martelli, is a junior, 6'6" kid that plays, right up top with Luke. Both those guys are cousins. And, Nico's definitely our glue player. He's a kid that, is real smart and connects everybody very well. And then the other kid inside that plays, our big boy, 6'5", Preston Daisy. He's about 250 pounds offensive tackle in the fall. And but he loves the game. He loves basketball. He's always played it, and his skills has always been there. And so it just, like I said, being in the second year, we felt like we had some pieces. We felt like, there's some things that we had to build upon. And, that success rate, just kind of merged here towards the end of the season.
Thanks, Coach. Jen, we'll go to you.
Hi, Coach. This is Jen Beck with OHSAA Radio Network. I'll be the sideline reporter at your game this weekend. Thinking back to your North Royalton game, the energy that came from that, especially seeing how you came back in that third quarter, got so close, and then, like you said, the clutch plays at the end. How is that kind of emotion really going to help you guys move into this final championship game?
Yeah, we've been knocked down so many times. Our guys don't know any different. When, like I said, if you go back when these kids were in middle school, And, you know, you had Nico Bundalo, who plays at a prep school at California, Darren Peterson, who plays at a prep school. The kid that's at Louisville, he was at Jackson in middle school. You know, so these kids, it's just been a very strong, talent-rich area, as these kids have always had a fight and scratch and claw. And then so that point, I think that has played to our advantage in those tough environments, tough situations. We just keep coming, and to have that energy and the fuel that we had behind our fans. You know, a lot of times early in the year, you know, the gym wasn't very full, and you know, it was just us, and for those kids to feel that support. And we know that you know, Perry Athletics has been really strong in a lot of other, you know, sports over the last few years. And, you know, we always wanted to try to do our part, make sure that we're representing, you know, the Perry High School and athletic program the best we can. And so it was really fun in regards to that community support, and that fuel really helped. And they were definitely the sixth man for us.
Jen, if you have a follow-up, go ahead, and then we'll go to Tim Bray.
Okay, just a quick follow-up, actually a different topic, but you mentioned in the email you sent me, Mickey Haley was your starting point guard. Just had an appendix removed 3 weeks ago. What was it? Mikey, thank you. What was that like to, unfortunate to lose him, and how's he doing?
Oh, yeah, it was the morning of we're getting ready to do a walkthrough, load, and go play a district final game against Solon. And he is going to the hospital. And the next day he had his appendix taken out at Akron Children's Hospital. So we've always kind of had, you know, Mikey's a very talented ball handler, plays more of a fast tempo. And Luke's always kind of been our secondary ball handler, guy that, you know, connects everybody. And you know, we try to get Luke off the ball as much as possible. He kick and shoot and score. So when Mikey went down, you know, and it was a very short amount of time, we didn't play great against Solon. We really didn't, but we were tough enough and gritty enough to find a way to win. And you know, Mikey just got cleared. He's practiced yesterday for the first time. He's going to be in the gym today, and we're going to try to go, you know, a lot more live. Since we just got done playing less than 48 hours ago. So we're going to see where he's at after today.
All right, let's go to Tim Bray.
Thank you, Coach. Congratulations on making it to the championship game. Looking ahead, I know you've seen a lot of tape. How do you control pace? How do you keep this game from getting crazy? And because Westerville North can get it up and down the floor, I know. I'm sure you're thinking about grit and grind. And how do you approach this one?
No, you're right. Phenomenal opponent, unbelievable. They have blown everybody off the court, and they played a great schedule. And Columbus area basketball is very, very strong, and you know, all the D1s that they have played. Yeah, they're dangerous. They get down the floor, they go score, and they get up and they defend you really, really tough. We have our hands full. There's no doubt about it. You know, the best thing that we could do is, you know, get ourselves as prepared as possible. And for all types of situations, you're not going to be able to just hold the ball. There's no way that's going to happen. You got to go make plays, and you can't be afraid to go make plays. You know, so hopefully we're smart. Hopefully we're able to have the fundamentals to negate all the talent they have. They're a great, talented team.
Tim, if you have a follow-up, go ahead, and then we'll go to George. But Tim, go ahead.
Yeah, just quickly, when did you see this team this year, you know, throw out the record, but when did you believe this group grasp your concepts, just some of the things that, I mean, you're in your second year. I'm sure it's just totally different than what they played 3 years ago. When did you feel like they were executing the good things to make this run?
Yeah, we got off to a real good start, and then we just didn't handle some bad losses, and it was always that teetering where we trying to pull them back together, stay connected, stick together, and that's probably the biggest thing for us is the group has stuck together, and they know they're stronger when they work together, and so I would probably say. Oh, geez, and that's a great question because you really can't pinpoint it. But we had North Canton Hoover had like 15, 16 wins, very solid team in the Federal League. We had them down 18 points in the middle like about 6 minutes ago in the third quarter. And Hoover just beat Louisville by 10 at Louisville. So they're coming off of a huge win. Louisville's very talented, very good, and they go to Louisville and beat them by 10. They're in our gym, and we're up 18. And I felt, we've had some really good stretches. We had some really good stretches, but we never was able to finish, and we didn't finish that game. We lost in overtime. So we had to pick ourselves up again, but I really felt maybe that was a point where I'm like, we just played a real high-level team, and we played very, very well for most of the game and just couldn't hang on. And we just had to use those learning experiences, and we just kept, all right, we got to go back to practice and try to get better.
George, go ahead if you're there, and then also Ryan Kavanaugh.
Coach George Howard, how you doing?
Good.
Hey, I wanted to ask you, when you guys watch film on Westerville North, I know you just spoke of them. When you watch film on them and you look at the way you play, is there how is your guys feeling? Because you're on an incredible run. I played on a state championship and we were 8-8 during the regular season, and we went on a run like that. So how's the confidence of your guys looking at the team they're playing, and how's the confidence of your guys right now?
Well, I think it goes back to just sticking together and believing each other. We know Westerville North. We don't sugarcoat it. Our kids understand. They know the mountain that we have a huge mountain to climb, but we have to do it together. And you can't run away from it. There's only one approach that you can have is you got to go run to it. And, from an effort standpoint, whatever the scoreboard falls, but we want to make sure that we give our best effort for each other and for the crowd that comes out and supports us.
Coach Ryan Kavanaugh. I know Luke's going to do his thing, but to beat this team, as you said here today, is there any one or two players you could identify to say he's got to have a big game? They have to play a big game for us to beat Westerville North.
It's got to be collective. We got to be able to handle the ball between the foul lines, and then we got to be able to finish. And whoever that ball ends up, it takes 10 hands to score. So whatever the stat sheet says, that's fine. But it takes 10 hands to score the basketball. And we have to make sure that we're able to meet passes, use our fundamentals, cut hard, and stay in front of them. I tell my players this all the time. In order to play varsity basketball, you got to guard the ball and you got to move the ball. And if you can do those two things, you can play. And it goes back to that again. And whoever those hands end up scoring the hoop, whether it's Luke or any one of those guys, we had in the regional final, we had almost all 5 starters in double figures. And in the regional semifinals, Luke goes off for 29. So however that works, it's just you got to stay in front and you got to move it.
We have just a minute left if there's anything else for Coach Vole from Massillon Perry.
Tim Bray here as a follow-up. And Coach, your father is Fran, right?
Correct. That is my father, Fran Vole.
Yeah, and was such an unbelievable coach. How much do you take from him?
Oh, I love my dad. And, we were very fortunate, very spoiled to grow up and run around and chase after him in the hallways of Delta St. John's when I was a little run, and to hang out with the Blue Jays and Bob Arnson. And then my mom and dad split, and I graduated from Marion Pleasant, the home of Tim Street, and played for great coaches there as well, Stan Kirby. So I played for Stan 1 year, my sophomore year. So yeah, I felt like my basketball upbringing was pretty cool, to be around a couple Hall of Fame coaches and then have a dad who was so successful at the high school and the college level. It was really neat. I was very blessed.
All right,
Thanks,
that'll wrap up our
I'm just
time.
saying.
Matt, loved watching you play when I was in the middle school section. Looking forward to watching you coach in the state championship game.
Thanks, Tim.
All right, that'll do it for Matt Vola, Massillon Perry. The visiting team
call is
in
no
that
longer
Division
being
II
recorded.
game is Westerville North and Shan Trusley. Shan, are you with us? Shan, are you here? All right, hang on one second. Let me check on Coach Trusley from Westerville North. Shan, I know you're on. Your line got muted. I may have to have you hang up and call back in. There was a lot of static on the line. Okay, I see he's leaving. Okay, Shan's going to call back in. Bear with us 1 second. All right, Shan, are you with us now?
Yeah, can you hear me? I'm sorry.
I can, yeah. Sorry about that. You got muted and then I couldn't unmute you, so thanks for calling back in.
I blame my athletic director, Wes Ellifritz, for everything.
We blame Wes for a lot around here too, so you're not alone. Well, before we get to questions, Coach, if you can take a few minutes and tell us about your team and your tournament run, and then we'll go to questions.
We're very lucky here at Westerville North to have an outstanding group of young people. We've had a wonderful season. We were OCC champions, 12-0, during the regular season, and we're proud of that accomplishment. Anytime you can win a league, especially as competitive as our division of the league, with the competition that we have, we're very proud of that. In the tournament, we played Whetstone and St. Charles at the district level, Westerville Central and Big Walnut at the regional level. And then last Sunday in the state semifinals, we beat a very, very good Toledo St. Francis team to advance to the state finals. And we're looking forward to matching up with Maslin Perry on Friday night.
All right. Thanks, Coach. Let's go to questions. We'll start with David.
Hey, Coach, could you please sort of run down the state semifinal against St. Francis and kind of grade out your team and what went right and who played well in that game?
I would give us an A+. Anytime you win a state semifinal and advance to the state final, I'm an English teacher, so I think by nature I'm a little critical. So I'm going to give ourselves an A+, though. All the kids played really, really well that day. When you look at the stat sheet, Micah Young led us in scoring, but Micah's a lot happier when his teammates are excelling, and his two brothers, Ty Perkins and Tyson Perkins, played really well that day. Tony Cornett did a good job for us out on the wing. Really happy with our post players. Nolan Fedak and Damian King, maybe they didn't score a whole lot, but we were really concerned about St. Francis's big kids around the basket. And I think we took one of their leading scorers, and Alan Horton, a 6'9" junior. When we limited him to only 3 shots the entire day, and that credit goes to Nolan and Damian. And then we got contributions off the bench on the perimeter from Elijah McCree. I think he scored 11 points. Jacob Medhani was good for us on the defensive end, knocked down a big 3 for us, and Ronald Jackson gave us quality minutes. And then Nate Roman, Noah Hale, and Desmond O'Canny, they were able to finish the game up for us. So one of the strengths of our team is our depth, and that was on display on Sunday against Toledo St. Francis.
Coach, with regard to Ty Perkins, could you just comment on his development, what it's been like to coach him?
It's been special. Like I said, you'll hear me use the word special a lot during this interview because, and it's not cliche. It's not overused when I say it. It's been special to coach Ty. He's a unique individual. When I say that, first in the gym, last to leave, that is Ty. And, there's a reason he's going to Akron University, and he earned that. When he came to us as a freshman, he was a really good player. And all he's done is put the time and effort in to turn himself into a Division I Mid-American Conference player. And that development is going to continue to take place. And, Ty was the Division II Player of the Year here in Central Ohio. He was our League Player of the Year here, like I said, in a quality league. And quite simply, Ty is one of the best basketball players in the state of Ohio, regardless of division. And we feel very strongly about Ty and Micah. When I make that comment, I think we have 2 of the best players in the state of Ohio, regardless of division, in Ty Perkins and Micah Young.
Are Ty and Tyson brothers, Coach?
Ty and Tyson and Micah are all brothers.
Got it. Thank you.
All right, let's go to Jen, and then we'll go to Tim Bray.
Hi, Coach. Thanks for being with us today. Looking forward to your game this weekend. I will be the sideline reporter, so you'll see me roving back and forth behind the bench. What's it like to have 3 brothers on your team? Not only 3 brothers, but 3 solid basketball player brothers.
It makes practices very competitive. The kids like to compete, and the other kids on the team feed off of that. Tyson is probably the most ornery of the group because he's the youngest, and he does not like to lose. So, the kids all feed off of each other in practice. I know a lot of coaches have different philosophies when it comes to practice, A lot of times you'll walk into a gym and you'll see the first five going against the second five, the starting five versus the bench group. And I'll be honest, I've done a lot of that in the past. This year, though, I don't. A buddy of mine, Columbus Afrocentric, Mike Bates, always talks about iron sharpening iron. And so we always go, we split things up here at practice. When you walk in the gym, very rarely will you see like our starting group going against our quote unquote bench, because the kids want to compete against each other and they want to get better. So I guess to get back to your question, what's it like with the three brothers? It just makes things ultra competitive.
That's awesome. One quick follow-up, taking a look at your scores this year, you've had solid wins throughout the entire year. What kind of goals did not just the three brothers, but the entire team have going into this year? Maybe knowing or maybe having a glimpse of what kind of a season you were going to have. What kind of goals did you have?
The goal from the beginning of the year, one is, this is high school interscholastic sports. So, we want the kids to have fun, and they do every day. They love each other. They enjoy being around each other on and off the court. But the stated goal has always been to win the last game. And so that's what we're going to try to do. The kids from the beginning of the year said, Coach, we're going to win the last game. And so that's what we're going to try to do on Friday night. We're going to try to win the last game.
Perfect.
All right, let's go to Tim Bray.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Congratulations, Coach. I saw you guys on Sunday, and just a phenomenal game. And when you think about how your team excels at both ends of the court, was this a style that has developed this year, or is this what you have played as in your philosophy your entire career?
What you see out on the floor is the products of the kids. It's the product of the kids' passion for the game, their enthusiasm for the game, their skill level, their gifts, their talents. You have to be a good basketball player and an even better person to play the way we play, because it requires sort of the ultimate commitment, both physically and mentally. This is how the kids want to play. And we've always taken pride here at Westerville North in making sure that we do what's best for the group of kids that we have. And if that means playing half-court basketball, we've done that in the past. And with this group of kids, it's what you saw on Sunday. It's the way we play. We love playing this way, and the kids thrive they thrive in the chaos that you see. So we're looking forward to Friday night, doing it one more time.
Thanks, Coach.
You're welcome.
Coach George Howard, how you doing, Coach?
Coach Howard, how are you?
I'm doing good. Well,
Good.
I'm a fan. I'm a fan. And I love your style of play. It makes it very difficult for teams to keep up with you guys. How do you, with the team that you have to play on this weekend, what do you see in this team where you guys have to make adjustments, and what bothers you about this team that you guys have to play?
Maslin Perry is an outstanding basketball team. I love the way they're coached. I've loved watching film on them so far this week. The kids are tough. They're skilled. They're talented. I like their size. They're long. It's a community. I know Perry, the Perry community is very successful. The kids are, in the community, they're winners. And it doesn't surprise us at all that they're in this situation on Friday night, and we're really looking forward to playing them. Luke Wolf is a really good basketball player. I like the kids that they have on the wings. The big kid inside had I think it's Daisy. Had a tremendous game Sunday against North Royalton. He was a difference maker for them, and they're playing at a really high level right now. And the federal league is outstanding. When you have to play Camp McKinley twice, Massillon Jackson twice, North Canton Hoover twice, Uniontown Lake Green twice. That makes you battle tested. So I'm happy for the Massillon Perry community and the kids and their coaching staff, and I'm looking forward to getting a chance to meet them on Friday.
Coach, this is Ryan Kavanaugh. I wanted to follow up on that because, their front court, not discounting their backcourt play, but their front court is, because of their height and size, poses challenge, and I think the same is said for your backcourt. So when you look at the defensive side of the ball, what challenges do they present, and how do you feel like you're going to match up against them?
When you look at the two rosters, there is a big difference in size and length, but that's something that we're used to. That's something that we've dealt with all year long. Our kids work really hard to guard all 5 positions. If you walked into our gym on any given day, our little guys are guarding the post and our post guys are guarding out on the perimeter. They're working on those skills. So, we play a certain way. Our goal is always to be the best version of ourselves every time we step on the floor. And, that's what we're going to do on Friday night. We're going to step out on the floor. We're going to let it rip for 32 minutes. And, and then we'll be proud of it at the end of the night.
All right. I think that'll do it for our time with Shan. Coach, thanks for your time here with the media. I really appreciate it. And best of luck in the state championship game.
Thank you so much. And thank you for everything everyone does for high school sports here in the state of Ohio. I apologize for my voice. It's been a rough week.
No problem at all. Thanks, Coach. All right.
You're
That'll
welcome.
wrap it up. That'll wrap it up for Division 2. And we'll move on to Division 1. And for those joining us here for the Division 1 portion, just a reminder to try to keep your background noise to a minimum. And we are going to have an audio recording and a written transcript of this teleconference. Please let me know if you need that, along with any information on the teams. In Division 1, the home team is Olentangy Orange, and that's head coach Anthony Kalo. Coach, are you on with us?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yep, we sure can. Thank you for calling in. Appreciate your time. We'll get to questions in a minute, but Coach, if you can start out by taking a few minutes to tell us about this year's team and your tournament run.
Yeah. Obviously, to get to this level, you got to have a great team. You got to have great kids, like every team in the state championship right now, all 7 divisions. So super great kids, great people, come from great families. And, our season, it's been try to challenge ourselves, play a really hard non-conference schedule, but also our 6-team division, the OCC Central, is very, very competitive. I think, a lot of great leagues across the state of Ohio, but I think ours is one of the best, if not the best. So went 10-0 the last 2 years, 21 straight league wins in a really competitive conference. And then really challenged ourselves, non-league, played a really good non-league schedule. St. Ignatius, defending state champions in the regular season. Centerville, played in the Final Four last year. Bella Vista from Arizona. They're a top 10 team in the country according to EYBL standings. So played some really, other people like Hartley, very good program. Very competitive non-league schedule. Didn't lose to a team in Ohio all year, I guess. Lost to 2 teams out of state, Cathedral and Bella Vista. But the purpose was to prepare our guys, play really hard non-league, and get us ready for the run that we're currently in.
All right. Thanks, Coach. Well, on radio, we have Dwight Burgess and George Howard. Dwight, we'll start with you for a couple, and then we'll go to George. Dwight may be on mute.
I can't hear anybody, guys.
Okay. Dwight may be on mute. Sorry about that. I know, George, you're here. Let's start with George.
Coach, how you doing?
What's up, Coach Howard?
Oh, nothing. Excited about this big game on Saturday night. I think a lot of the city is excited about it, and it's the talk of the city right now. You know, you guys have played a great schedule, as you just said, and you probably play one of the toughest schedules in the state. How has this prepared you for this moment to go up against number 2 team in the state? How has this prepared your guys?
Yeah, it's I mean, it's prepared us immensely. Like we faced a lot of when you play, a wide range of really good teams, you're going to see a wide range of styles. So in our league, a lot of teams, versus us, they try to slow it down and play possession basketball. So, we've learned how to play that style throughout the year, in the last couple of years. But then most recently in a lot of the other non-league games like Cathedral, Ignatius, Bella Vista, and then in tournament run, Groveport and St. Ignatius again. We play teams that like to play fast, like to play aggressive. Hartley is another regular season game that prepared us for that. And we like to play that way too. So, there's a lot of different dances you can dance in basketball, and we try to, figure out how to do all of them, and our kids do a good job adapting. But yeah, when you play a really good schedule, you see a lot of styles, and our kids do a really good job of making adjustments in the moment and doing what we need to do together.
I don't know if he's on, Tim, but Coach, I want to ask you, when you look at Reynoldsburg, and you probably have watched them closely this year, when you look at them, what do you see? What might bother you about them, and what do you see that you have to prepare for when you look at a team full of athletic guys? What do you look for in that team? With that team?
Yeah, Reynoldsburg is a very dangerous combination of athleticism, skill, and they're well coached as well. So, anytime you're playing athletes that play hard and have skill and are well coached, it's a very difficult challenge. It's a state championship, guys. We're going to play somebody really good, and Reynoldsburg is really good. So we're excited for the challenge. I know they're excited for the challenge. I know Columbus is excited to see it. It should be a fun game for both teams, and I know both teams are really looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Dwight's able to be with us right now or not. So, George, you can go another one, but we can also open it up.
Well, you can open it up, but I guess my last question for Coach is that I know your team very well. I have family on your team. But talk about Kevin Brown, what he's meant in his time at Orange, and how he's grown as a young man and as a player. Talk about him for a minute, because he's special.
Yeah, he is. And, our whole team is very selfless. They all do an incredible job of playing team first basketball. But I do believe that Devin sets the tone with that. Devin is really difficult to prepare for, in my opinion, because he can score. Like when we need him to get a bucket, he can. But if you send extra bodies to Devin, he's a very willing passer. We try to pride ourselves on sharing the ball at a high level, and Devin definitely sets the tone with that. As far as like his development goes, he something I love to say about Devin and Levi Davis. They've been varsity players for 3 years, and they're 74-8 in 3 years as varsity players. I mean, there's really good teams this year, guys, that have lost more than 8 games in one season, and those two guys, are 74-8 in 3 years. So that's really impressive. He's a winner. He does things the right way. He's gotten better throughout the years. Like his sophomore year, he wasn't a great shooter. We saw pieces there to think he could be. But the last 2 seasons, he's been over 40% from 3. He's worked very diligently to become a better shooter, and he's just a super well-rounded player, like dribble, passes, and shoots at a high level, defends at a high level. But I think the thing that Devin has done the best job of for us, he shows up with joy every day. A lot of teams, like, it's a grind. Like, by the end of the season, a lot of teams aren't enjoying practice. I've coached plenty of teams that don't enjoy practice by the end of the year. And I think our team every day still enjoys practice, enjoys being around each other. And I think Devin sets the tone with that by just showing up with a great sense of joy every day that spreads to our team.
Thanks, Coach. We can open up to others.
Well, Coach, I'm going to come back and ask you another question since we don't want to just have time, but talk about what it means to your guys to get here, to come to Dayton, to play for a state championship. You guys were right there last year, and I know it was disappointing, and I'm sure after that game, your guys made a commitment to you and to themselves that, we're going to get there, and you're here. What does that mean to you guys, to your staff as a whole?
Yeah, it means everything. We're playing we have 32 minutes, both us and Reynoldsburg, 32 minutes for the ultimate high school prize. It's why you coach, it's why you play, a lot of other reasons, obviously, but it's, you hope to end the season on a win, and that opportunity doesn't come often. But, a couple years ago, we were 24-4. This is 3 years ago. So past two seasons ended in the regional final. 2 years ago, we were 24-4 and lost to Pick Central at OU in the regional final. And we're close to winning that game. But I said to our staff, 2 years from now, which is now this year, we'll be back in this game if our people stay together and keep working. Like, we can get back 2 years from now. And then the very next year, somehow we had more wins. And, I didn't expect it to happen that quickly last year. Didn't expect it to be a rebuilding year, but didn't expect to be in the Elite Eight last year. And testament to our kids, their belief in themselves, their belief in each other. But we came up short again last year in the Elite Eight. So you never know. You never know what can happen. But we thought if we did the right things, prepared the right way, stuck together, stuck to our cultural values, loved each other through it, that we had a chance. And we're excited about it. Here we are. So it's super thankful for the opportunity and just really excited. Yep.
All right, that'll do it for our time with Coach Kalo from Olentangy Orange. Coach, thanks for your time with the media here today.
Yeah, sorry I couldn't hear anyone else other than George asking questions, but thankful
okay.
for all of you guys and all the work you do. Thank you.
No problem, Coach. Thank you. And our last coach is the visiting coach in the Division I game, and that's Andy Moore from Reynoldsburg. Andy, are you on with us?
Yeah, I'm here.
Great. Thank you. Appreciate you calling in. Thanks for hanging out. We're a little behind schedule, so thanks for waiting. We'll get to questions in a minute, but Andy, if you could take a few minutes first and tell us about your team and your tournament run, and then we'll open it up to questions.
Yeah, this year I think the difference in our team from the last couple years is, we've got veteran guys, 3 seniors start, 2 juniors start. And that's made a big difference for us this year. All guys that have kind of been put in all different situations over the last 2 years. Really competitive games, close games, overtime games. So they've been through all those situations, and we've talked about we've been able to answer every call but one this year, losing to DeSales, which. They've got a great program, a great coach, and they played better than us. They were the better team last night, or that night. So other than that, I've just been proud of how our guys have responded, again, in any situation. And we've been, we've played, our games have been interesting here in the tournament, going back to just last Sunday, down 1 with 1 second to go and finding a way to win. And then before that, Olentangy Liberty, down 6, I think, with 70 seconds to go in the first overtime and finding a way to win. So, we've been able to overcome some adversity as well. And I think to win a championship, you got to have a little luck along the way. You got to get a few breaks. You got to stay healthy as well too. So, I think at this point we've used up all of our luck. I'm not sure we can count on that anymore. We just have to go out and play well come Saturday.
All right, thanks, Coach. I'm not sure Dwight's with us yet, so George, we'll start with you again.
Well, Coach, how you doing?
Good. I just to say this, if I'm going to have to talk to George the whole time, I'm hanging up.
We'll see. I don't know.
Okay. Anthony had to
Tim.
suffer through it. I don't want to.
I've been knowing Andy since Andy was into high school.
Long time.
And I've been knowing him that long, and we've stayed in touch for over 30 years. But Andy, I do have a couple questions. Since I got you on here, now you got to answer them. So,
okay.
What do you think that loss at DeSales did for the team's mental and for you guys as a whole?
I think as much as anything, it taught our guys, the importance of preparation for every team you're going to play. Going into the sales game, I don't think their one-loss record was great at that point, and not sure how well they were playing. And I, we didn't prepare. I didn't do a great job of getting them ready to play. I got out coached. So I think it certainly talked to me about preparation, but I knew going in, like I said, Pat Murphy's one of the best coaches in this state and has one of the best programs in the state. So I certainly learned a lot about that. I think our kids did as well about, you respect everybody. You can get beat on any given night, regardless of who you're playing. And, as a whole, as a program, we didn't do it sorry about that. We've got our dismissal bell is going, but we didn't do that on that night, and we got exactly what we deserved. We got outplayed, we got outcoached, but I think our guys, they did respond though, and after that loss, now we've won 11 in a row again. We were 15-0 going into that one, and then we now have won 11 in a row. So I think sometimes you'd rather learn from a win than a loss, but we lost that night, and I think took a good learning experience out of it, and our guys have made the best of it since.
I guess Tim, am I still there?
I think you are, George. I know Dwight had some recruits in today. He's over at Wittenberg today, so he may be taken up with that. So we'll defer to you.
And Andy doesn't really mind. He doesn't mind.
That's what you think.
Andy,
yes.
Talk about the growth in your team, the growth from the beginning till now, how your team has grown. When you watch them play in the beginning and you watch them play now, you can see the difference in the way they play. What was it about the team that had them grow as a team?
I can even go back, starting with last year, Coach, that, we had a talented team last year, and we won a lot of big games last year, and we were also pretty close in a lot of big games. Now, again, we did not do a great job, against everybody that we played. And I think that showed up, in the district finals last year, getting our butt kicked and getting it kicked good. Again, to make our guys kind of reset a little bit and figure out, okay, how are we going to change this? And at the beginning of the year, I thought we started playing really well. I think everybody's talked about their schedule, throwing out ours. We have beat 3 of the 4 teams from the Final Four last year: Whitmer, Centerville, and including the defending state champion. Although Orange knocked them off. Trotwood Madison, who we beat on December 14th, they did not lose another game until the regional finals. So they were really good. Cincinnati, Princeton, Richmond Heights, who was going for a 4-peat this year. Akron St. V's, playing Newark twice, Groveport twice, who got to the regional finals. I think our guys knew, coming into that just our mindset had to be different. And I think it was early in the year. I think we slipped a little bit. At some point in the middle of the year, we were still able to win and finish games, but we didn't play the right way. We always talk to our guys about, you can win some games every now and then and not get better, and you can also lose a game but get better. And we were winning some about halfway through the year, but I didn't think we were getting much better. So, credit to our veteran guys. They've kind of pulled us along. Again, 3 seniors and 2 juniors that, have talked about, wanting to make history this year. And I think they realized the way we were playing at that point, wasn't going to get it done. It wasn't going to get us to this point where we are right now. And so they've changed their mindset. They've changed their attitude. They've changed their work ethic. And so that's the biggest thing that I've seen as far as the change from about the middle of the year to the point we're at now.
What you've lost, the last 3 games have been barn burners, like where you guys have had to come from behind. What is it about this group? Like they just have that never give up attitude. Where's that come from, Coach?
Well, it comes from them. We try our best as a coaching staff to, in those situations where we're down, to keep them positive. Let them know there's plenty of time. But they're a group of guys that are very confident in themselves, and this whole group of guys have been together for a while now. And again, they've made a resolve that we're going to get to this point. And we've been able to get back into games. We've been able to turn up our pressure, whether it's in the full court or half court. And, we've been able to create offense with our defense. So that's probably been the biggest thing for us. But, it really this time of year, really what matters is your will to succeed. And, no matter what the situation is, because there's been a couple times where it looks like, this might be the end, and you call a timeout and the guys come over, and I'm not sure I've ever heard anything negative in the last couple games, like, anybody pointing fingers, anybody have their head down. It's like, guys, we're going to figure out a way to win this game. And our guys, all the credit to our players, they've found a way to get it done.
All right, we're going to let Coach Moore go here in a minute. Anyone else have anything for Andy Moore from Reynoldsburg?
Yeah, Coach, it's Dave from the Dispatch. You get to put up with me twice today. But hey,
all right.
I'll just ask you about Olentangy Orange here. I mean, is this, when you look at film of them, do they remind you a lot of that team last year, considering the personnel, or what differences might you see from a season ago?
I think they're better. I mean, I think they only lost 1 senior last year, and they've, guys that have stepped into different roles, and so I think they're better. I think Olentangy Orange, and I think you can throw Delaware in there. Those are the 2 teams that have kind of been the benchmark the last 2 years in Central Ohio, the measuring stick in terms of where they want to be. I know, Delaware got knocked off a little bit early this year, but the consistency that both those 2 programs have, and specifically now we're talking about Olentangy Orange, has been incredible to play that many games and have very few setbacks. You got to have really good players. You got to have really good coaches. You got to have a chemistry and culture in your program that talks to winning, speaks to winning, and they have it. So, I do think they're better. I think, I got asked, I don't know if it was by you, Dave, you did something not too long ago and asked about if it wasn't maybe your player, who's the one guy you might want taking a shot at the end of the game.
Yeah.
And I know what my answer was, Devin Brown. Just what he's done over the last 3 years, the way he plays the right way, got a high basketball IQ. He's been through the battles. He's made big shots. So, that kid's a monster to me. I mean, he's as good as it gets. And I've obviously seen a lot of basketball in 32 years, and he's one of the more impressive kids I've seen. But I wish I could say that's all they have, but they got a lot of really, really good players that surround him. So, at some point you got to pick your poison a little bit, figure out, hey, what are you going to try and take away? And it's really difficult with them watching film, trying to figure out if, there's really kind of any area that you can exploit. You just might have to put your head down and outwork them, and see where you come out at the end of the game. Because, as far as weaknesses, I don't see any. I know that.
Thanks.
All right. Well, we're going to let Coach Moore go here. Andy, thanks so much for your time here with the media today. Appreciate you calling in. And thanks to all the media that are on the call. Appreciate your participation and covering high school basketball. Everyone have a great rest of your day.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.